Maybe we need no agenda emergency hammers.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. This is your award-winning Gizmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1053.
This is No Agenda.
Reading the black bars of FOIA and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're doing a show pre-Zephyr, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yeah, you're right. That's the groovy part about a podcast. We can start whenever we want, early, late.
Or whenever we're ready, which is what we do.
Whenever we're ready. Whenever we're ready. Man, a lot of grief. Got a lot of grief.
I think that you could open every show with that.
I got a lot of grief. We hit Belgium head on with the rain sticks. Just got the lower half of the Netherlands, but
we discussed this on Twitter. I really have nothing to say. You know my position on this.
Yeah,
I can hold myself blameless for this mess.
Well, it gets worse because we have a very serious request from Norway now. So first of all, it rained everywhere except in the Netherlands where we wanted it to rain. And thanks, Muslim clerics, a lot of good your praying did. That didn't help much. Andromeda.
I think it's because, a lot of this has to do with the speakers in the countries and the volume that they play the show at. And I'm just guessing that in Holland, they play the show over earbuds.
Yes, it's not loud enough. Well, Andromeda wrote in from Norway, and she and her husband say it's pretty critical. In fact, we are their last chance. Since the beginning of May, there's been an unusual period of beautiful and warm weather in Norway, unseen in decades, maybe ever. Sunshine for days, temperature breaking every possible record. 30 tropical days so far in Norway. All caps.
Wow, sounds good.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you?
What are they complaining about?
What's your problem? Well,
is it rain? Is it place on fire? No.
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Numerous forest fires. But here's the real problem. Because the warm weather began so early this year in April, they have a full blown agricultural crisis.
Yes. Well, that's nothing we can do about that.
Grass from first yield was 30% of a normal year, so they don't think there'll be any second yield. Farmers are sending their cattle to slaughterhouses because they won't have enough feed for the winter, which will lead to a shortage of dairy products next year, and possibly the year after that.
But a boom in meat.
Well, yeah. I guess they imported hay from the U.S., even though GMO products are banned, which, of course, everything that we sell is GMO.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, we're
out to poison the world.
They're specifically asking for rain stick action. I don't want to deny anyone that, but I feel a little gun shy after I admit I was a little careless on the stick. But maybe we should just do one shake for Norway?
I think you did. You mean, one flip, period, no more?
One flip for Norway.
And we're going to do it simultaneously this time.
Yeah, yes. You count me in. I mean, I've clearly got to get my my game back on.
Okay. On the 3, 2, 1 count.
All right.
We flip once.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
All right, Norway. All right, Andromeda, let us know how that went.
That was not enough to do too much damage.
No, I think if anything that misses Norway will be okay. But again, apologies to Belgium. Wow, so sorry.
No, well, then again.
Then again. Well, after years of speculation, I tell you, and certainly speculation on this show, we've always wondered who was behind the white helmets, those agents provocateurs, those actors who love saving people, then saving them again for the Instagram for their buddies. We've seen it so many times.
They've seen a number of people 2 or 3 times wearing the same exact clothes.
Yeah, but also they put the victim back and then they do the whole scene again on Instagram. They're very silly.
For years, the White Helmets have saved thousands of lives in Syria, but now even they've had to flee. After a request from the United States and some European countries, Israel evacuated them and their families to Jordan, saying there'd been an immediate threat to their lives. Israel's military stressed its non-intervention policy in Syria. According to Jordan's foreign ministry, they'll spend 3 months in the country and then be settled in Britain, Germany and Canada. The White Helmets have mostly saved lives by rescuing people trapped in rubble after government and Russian airstrikes in rebel-held territory. Jordan's foreign ministry said their lives were in danger after a government offensive regained rebel-held parts of southern Syria. In all, 800 men, women and children were bussed out of the danger zone towards Jordan. In the last few days, several hundred rebels and their families have also been evacuated from Quneitra province as part of a peace deal brokered by the Russian military. The Syrian army, backed by Russian airstrikes, is gaining ground in the province, which borders the Golan Heights. Israel annexed the Golan from Syria in 1981.
Well, there you go. So Israel was funding him, after all.
I find that weird.
Why?
Because of all these variant reports we kept getting.
Well, remember, the whole strategy behind the White Helmets is, keep telling lies about what's been going on. And therefore, more intervention, more pushback, more bombs. Even Trump bombed a couple times. To me, it seems very clear. Israel was behind it, and they're extracting him. Now that we apparently have some deal that no one's reporting on. I mean, was there any big headline breaking news for you? That
was the secret meeting between Putin and Trump.
Well, yes,
it's reporting
obviously. On. So he hooked it up. So he's got Russia working with Israel. They're going to take care of the Syria situation. How that affects Iran is a little unclear, but that must have been part of the deal. Like, all right, keep Iran out of there, and we'll let you guys do whatever you need to do. And now it looks like 2 million Syrian refugees can go home.
Well, let's hope that's exactly what happens.
Well, of course we hope that's what happens. I wouldn't want any other way. I'm just a little irked that the Israelis were behind the White Helmets. It seems very obvious to me.
Huh. Well, again, this is not proof positive by any means. It's
of course. Oh, yeah, coincidence. Why? Well, all right, fine, coincidence.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not buying it. It seems like they were the bad actors. On that part, I mean, everyone is a bad actor. But there's been no announcements, no overview, no real explanation of what the deal was. But yeah, of course, that's what they discussed. Let's subpoena the translators. Nut jobs. Seriously, nut jobs.
But they're completely out of control. The media has lost it. This guy, Mark Shields, that's on the PBS NewsHour on Fridays with Brooks.
Yeah, the
guy, besides, now he's like apoplectic over Trump.
Ooh, good word. Would you please explain apoplectic?
A wreck.
Okay. He's a wreck, yes.
And he, do I have these clips here? I'm just wearing my Shields clips.
Yeah, I got it here. I got Shields on Trump Putin.
Yeah, I guess Shields on... What is this?
I don't know. I have clips here. Did you print off the wrong clip list?
I'm going to have to think that.
Okay. Why don't I play it and you can hit Control P?
Oh, wait. Let me set it up.
Okay.
Let me set it up. He is not only shaking now when he's talking about Trump.
Ooh.
He's getting liver spots all over his face.
Oh, God.
His hair is kind of like doesn't look right, like a bad hair day. He's just a wreck.
Oh, he's getting sick from it. This is a bad situation. I've seen this happen.
I will relate an anecdote that my daughter's told. She said she's out at some restaurant and there's a guy sitting nearby bitching about Trump and then bitching about the fact that since Trump's been elected, he's developed high blood pressure and has to take a bunch of medication.
Oh, God. This is unhealthy behavior, people.
So we've been saying all along.
Jeez.
But let's listen to this guy go nuts.
All right. Meanwhile, you get the flat cable and put it in the RS-232.
We're left with, Judy, a week of, I think, a blow to the United States of America. I don't think there's any question about it, to our leadership, the fraying of our relations with our longtime allies, a dismissal, almost a disparagement by the American president of democratically elected leaders and the messy problems that democracy requires, an adulation, a flattery, a giant sucking sound in the company of the Russian dictator by the president's part. And Dan Baltz, perhaps as respected a writer as there is on politics in America, wrote, is when the setting called for a show of strength and resolve, Trump instead offered deference, defensiveness, equivocation, and weakness. And I think that's fair.
So does Shields not have an original thought of his own? He has to quote other authors?
I guess. I mean, I find that to be humiliating. But, I mean, if you're a pundit.
Yeah, you should have your own opinions.
You're a pundit. You're a pundit for a reason. You're there to express your opinions, not to quote somebody else's opinions you think are superior. The way I look at it, well, let's get that guy on the show. Why do we want you?
Why do we want you? And we can almost predict who's going to have a heart attack first. Seriously.
We're seeing a lot of heart attacks
in the making.
From a lot of these guys who are just spitting mad. They're spitting mad. You're right. It's just incredibly unhealthy, and they're just falling into this trap. I have some thoughts on this after this second clip of Shields.
Donald Trump is, when he stands there and contradicts the unanimous judgment of all the men and women who are professionals in the United States intelligence services, who have concluded unanimously that Russia was behind the meddling cyber attacks and continues to be at this time, and stands there and pays the ultimate compliment. You can talk about his words. We know his words. In his lexicon, the lexicon of Donald Trump, there are no greater compliments than to say strong and powerful. And whom did he call? To call anybody weak is the ultimate insult. And he paid the ultimate compliment to Mr. Putin as he stood there and refusing to endorse and support the work of the American intelligent professionals in public. I've never seen a situation like that before. No American president's ever done. There was
That sounds like the ultimate compliment to me.
The guy, he did have some right analysis there about what Trump thinks is a compliment, what he thinks is an insult. Weak. We've discussed weak on the show some time ago.
Right.
So this guy promotes the bull crap that 100%. In fact, he's taking it further about the intelligence agencies all agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's unanimous. And he says the men and women. He's talking about every single intelligence agent on every agency.
Yeah. Well, he would know. I guess. I just had a great idea for a strategy for the Democrats. And it's not a new one, but the timing would be perfect right now. They're early. I mean, they're peaking so hard right now with
this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, to take this all the way to November, we need more events. We don't have. I mean, Putin I think that's the summit. That was the meeting. That was the big one. They can keep this going for a while, but already, if you look at, there was a Gallup poll, which I guess I trust Gallup. That had, Russian collusion is like 17 or 18 on the list of things people find important in America.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be high, but I didn't know it was that low because people are tuned out. They're just tuned out. It's not working anymore.
They hear it over and over again. And where's the evidence and all the rest of it? It's like.
No, they're also just tuned out. They're just tuning out. They're done with it. But there is something that could be done. It's an old strategy. We've discussed it before. And remember, the Democratic Party is now completely leaderless, and I would say,
true.
Just speaking of heart attacks, it would be a good time for Bill to go.
Yeah, actually,
because then we could have a solid 6 weeks of mourning and video, lots of video about his values, how great he was, how
he balanced the budget.
Yes, how he got rid of Yugoslavia, all kinds of great things that we could remiss on. I mean, he was a fun president, I'll say. He had his good moments. But then, that would kind of ramp up into reestablishing the Democratic Party values. And then Hillary could come back in very smoothly and really start to bring people back together, whether for herself or for somebody else. But it would be probably for herself. I'm just saying it would be an interesting strategy. Not for Bill, of course. He might not think it's so interesting.
No, and Bill's not really, I think he's not really upset about anything. I mean, he's not like this Shields guy who's upset. He's apoplectic, as I like to say. Yeah. Bill's not. He just thinks it's great because it's just fine. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So he's not really a candidate for an immediate heart attack. But
have you seen him?
Yeah, he looks like hell.
Yeah, the shadow of his former self. It wouldn't surprise
anybody if he dropped
exactly. Dead. And the Hag team, they'd be ready.
Did you see David Rockefeller when he was 99? I mean, the guy went for another decade or so. He looked like he was the walking dead.
Well, that's because he drinks infant blood or something. Yeah, that's what those guys do. I have one deranged clip from NPR, which has just been such a joy to listen to. NPR News. This is actually the Week in the News. It's an actual news program, not just some
about the news.
It's about the news. Yes, Jack Beatty back once again.
Well, I didn't realize that Fifth Avenue ran through Helsinki. Now, that was to me the revelation. During the campaign, candidate Trump said, My people will support me even if I go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody. Well, the New York Daily News on Tuesday had a cover showing Trump and Putin walking down Fifth Avenue. Putin is bare-chested, by the way, and Trump is holding a pistol and he's shooting Uncle Sam. That press conference was the Fifth Avenue moment. And it told Trump, or I think the danger is it told Trump that he can get away with almost anything. Because what was the response? According to one poll, 79% of Republicans thought that debacle press conference.
Is it debacle? Is it debacle? Debacle?
Yes, debacle. I don't think debacle is I don't think it's an alternative.
From now on, it is.
Debacle.
It's a debacle, baby. My debacle was a debris, let me tell you.
Because what was the response? According to one poll, 79% of Republicans thought that debacle of a press conference and the meeting was a success. Meanwhile, in Russia, the host of a state TV program said Trump, quote, smells like an agent of the Kremlin. There was some hand-wringing in Congress, but nothing very decisive. In fact, the House voted down a measure to increase election security spending. And if Trump has got the message he can get away with anything, we're on the road to Norm Ornstein's nightmare. He's, of course, the AEI political expert. His nightmare is that Trump fires Mueller, pardons himself and everybody else, sends his followers into the streets, and after the inevitable bloodshed, declares martial law. Now, you say, well, that can't happen. Well, who would have thought that the president could openly collude, not only openly collude, openly canoodle with the strong and powerful Kremlin leader and would receive 79% response from Republicans?
There you go. Canoodle, baby.
Holy macros, this guy unhinged.
Yeah. And by the way, finally was the Huffington Post finally wrote something that's been bothering me for a while about...
By the way, that was one hell of a clip you dug up there.
Thank you.
But no.
No, it's okay. I don't think so either. What was I going to say?
You're talking about the Huffington Post. They finally knuckled under.
Yeah, they finally wrote... Someone over there finally wrote an article and said, New York Times, when you're making jokes, and this guy kind of did that a little bit as well, when you're making jokes about Putin and Trump being gay lovers, it's homophobia. And it is, because what it says is...
Well, you better give us some background, because there was... I don't think we've talked about this.
No, we haven't. So they had a cartoon, the New York Times, on their website, and it was
the animated cartoon.
And it was Putin and Trump, and they're kissing, and they're making out, and they're, naked, and they're cuddling and canoodling.
Yeah, it's gay.
Yeah, gay. As gay lovers. And, it's this. I don't understand how in one hand you can be, an SJW, BLM, LGGB, TTQQIAPK ally, and at the end,
and then mock the whole mock gay relationships.
Yeah. It's because gay guys are not in the group. I've said this before. There's no community. And it's the gay guys who are getting the brunt of it now. And some of them are standing up and saying, hey, excuse me, this is not okay.
It's about time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very annoying.
Yeah, I found that cartoon to be hilariously, besides homophobic, tasteless.
Yeah.
And insulting, and there was somebody, I don't know if I have that clip or not, but somebody's going on and on about, oh my God, Trump said something about somebody. How can he be so insulting? There's other ways of doing things. There's other ways of presenting things. Ever anybody listen to what they say about this guy?
No.
Or that cartoon? I mean, it's outrageously insulting.
Yeah.
But that's part of what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it was outrageously insulting. It was, to gay men, it was.
I think it was insulting to Putin and Trump.
Maybe.
I mean, they're not kissing. They're not, he sees the gay, it's just
yeah, they were.
These are statesmen that are trying to, maybe get us to world peace and maybe, drop the potential for us blowing each other to smithereens, maybe minimize that a little bit, work in that direction. Is that bad? I mean, all of a sudden they're kissing and smooching because we're trying to maybe drop the World War III thing down to maybe not so much going to happen. I mean, I don't get it. Well, I'm not the only one who doesn't get it.
Okay, I don't get it. Well, I do.
That was my segue.
Yeah, I'm looking for the clip. What are we playing?
Never get it. You never figure it out. So they had Jama Baraka. This guy is a lefty. I'm starting to listen.
You sent me this, and I listened to it, and I want you to explain a little bit about this guy, because I was not familiar with him.
Okay.
Ujama Baraka.
Major lefty. He was the one who ran as a socialist, as vice president under Jill Stein.
Ah, oh, right. Okay. Yes. Now we remember who he is.
But he's a real lefty.
He's a socialist. He's a socialist?
Borderline communist, hates capitalism. He's the old school, and him and his comrades are all very baffled by what's going on in the political scene, because the stuff that Trump's doing, going after the FBI and the CIA and having these wars with him, seems to be like, this is
what the left used to do.
What we've wanted to do forever.
Yeah, you've been saying this for years. That's what the left used to be. They used to be anti-war, anti-government, certainly wary of the government.
Anti-intelligence agencies, anti-FBI, anti-war, all these things, and anti-capitalist, which I think is the weak spot.
And they want to stop the Vietnam War.
Yes, let's stop it. We got to
stop that war.
So let's listen to some thoughts. Now, these are not short, because with the left, I will explain this. With the left, the
true left or the fake left of now?
The true left.
Mm-hmm.
The true left, not the fake left, not the Bernie Sanders, it turns out. The true left. And I realize that this permeates all of politics at the smallest, littlest levels in the state of California. The true left is long-winded. They can't be concise. They can't just say something. They have to go on and on and on. And this, I'm reminded of when JC was a kid, and we were thinking of taking him to child care in this little area in Albany. But to take your child there, you had to take part. You had to do something. You had to volunteer.
I can just see your eyes roll up in your head.
You had to do something, and then you had to go to the weekly meeting.
What was your participation? Did you do the hokey pokey with the kids?
No, it turns out that you could buy your way out with money.
In great California tradition.
So, but they had to go to these meetings, and I think that was the deal breaker for me. These meetings.
Wait. What kind of outfit was this with meetings? It's like the Montessori AA?
It was just a typical Bay Area local daycare.
Jeez.
And these meetings were these long-winded women going on and on to the point where you wanted to shoot yourself. And that's what we're going to have to deal with when we listen to Lefties. But these guys are the real deal, and this is the kind of thinking that's going on in the left, the true left.
Wait, one more question. I'll be quiet. Did you play the recorder with the kids?
That thing.
All right.
Here, let's start with clip 1.
Please welcome Ajamu Baraka to Flashpoint South Pacifica Radio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I thought for a moment you were going to say I was shifting to the right also.
Oh no. Well, I'm gonna. Well, just to make that clear to our listeners, let me read something from the Black Alliance for Peace, the last newsletter I just received. The ongoing and deepening crisis of U.S. society has caused anger, fear, and confusion. The precipitous decline of the standard of living for millions of people in the United States helped produce the conditions for the election of Trump. This in turn created the Democrats' irrational anti-Russia position. The problem, of course, is that whether it is taking aggressive militaristic positions with either Russia or North Korea, pushing an already unstable and reckless Trump administration to be more forceful is a dangerous position that could easily pull the United States into another military conflict. But that is precisely what the Democrats and their liberal allies have been demanding, with potentially disastrous consequences for millions. That's a heck of a statement, and I agree with it.
So that was the kind of the introduction of this guy, and it starts off with some Democrat hate. And the argument they start to make is that the Democrats have no left-leaning people anymore. They're all old liberals, and they never say neoliberals, but they call them all liberals, and they're kind of leaning to the right. And they've adopted all these what were once Republican positions, and so far as hating Russia and wanting war. Mm-hmm. So let's go on to clip 2 where we get a little more interesting.
If you struggle now in a certain kind of way, you would be accused of being an authoritarian or abusive or whatever. Everything has shifted. Everything has shifted.
But don't we still have history? I mean, well, that was one of the things that the left in this country prided itself on, which was it was on the right side of history, and would constantly cite chapter and verse history. So, for example, you and I both share knowledge that the history of the FBI in this country, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is one of a secret police force. Has largely been one of repression, particularly when it comes to the relationship of the FBI to the black community in this country. Or when it comes to the relationship of the FBI assassinating political figures like...
Hold on. What is the historical bad relationship between the FBI and the black community in this country?
Well, it goes back to the assassination of Martin Luther King.
We're sure the FBI did that.
They're pretty convinced of it, and they also got some of the records from the old J. Edgar Hoover thing, where they put a tail on anyone who was who had anything to do with
King,
with civil rights, had a tail put on them. The FBI was following them around and bugging their phones. And
all right, good.
It goes. I mean, you could. There's books written about it, but this thing here, what he's about to say, is the one that kind of got me. Because he said it on some other show, the guy who's the host, about this assassination of this Puerto Rican guy. I don't know anything about this, but back it up.
When it comes to the relationship of the FBI to the black community in this country. Or when it comes to the relationship of the FBI assassinating political figures like Filiberto Ojeda Rios in Puerto Rico, right? We know that.
It sounds like from his pronunciation he's got an axe to grind with it, that's for sure.
But just because
he has, I think this guy's a Latino, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, he's got.
But who is this guy that was assassinated in Puerto Rico?
John, they're on local Berkeley radio. Who cares?
It's not as local as
no one's listening.
Filiberto Ojeda Rios in Puerto Rico, right? We know that. But just because Trump criticizes the FBI and Mueller and says that they're putting one on him doesn't automatically eliminate what we know about the FBI. But suddenly, we've got these fools who are saying, we should not be criticizing the FBI.
Look, Kevin, I'm not going to call this person's name. There was someone I saw on Facebook just yesterday, one of the well-known, if not famous, leftists in this country, who was circulating a story from the Daily Cost, one of those liberal rags.
The Daily Caller, that's
in which they were the central character in that story was John Brennan, who was in fact criticizing Trump and basically saying that what he did was essentially traitorous. And so I'm thinking, why would this individual be highlighting and legitimizing a criminal like John Brennan? This is the kind of confusion that we have at this point.
Now, how does he know John Brennan's a criminal?
It's just by definition.
Okay.
So now we're talking, this is the real left, and this is one of the things that we don't do on this show, which is look at the other side, but not the other bogus side, not the Bernie Sanders
actual side, the actual other side.
The actual other side of the fence, and hear what they have to say, because they're completely beside themselves witnessing this, because it makes no sense to them, and this is kind of brought to a head in clip 3.
The fact that there was this off-the-shelf illegal intelligence operation that seemed to take form in July of 2016 under the auspices and control of Democratic Party operatives to infiltrate and to begin to gather information on the Trump campaign in order to either come up with a quote-unquote October surprise, or to, in fact, as Peter Strzok said, to have a insurance policy just in case of the unlikely possibility of Donald Trump winning. So this criminality that Trump refers to all the time took place at the highest levels of the FBI and the CIA. They roped in the DSA and under the leadership of the Director of National Intelligence. And they never dreamed, I think, that the depth of the conspiracy will come out, because, again, they were convinced that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And if she would have won, then this kind of illegal activity that they engaged in infiltrating this opposition campaign would have come out. But, there's enough, my point is, there's enough evidence there for us to at least be raising serious questions. But because Trump is raising those questions and people who support Trump, then they are automatically dismissed. And that, to me, is very, very dangerous, because we're talking about criminal activity at the highest level of government, one. But secondly, what does it imply if a real radical, for example, was able to win that highest office through some kind of miracle or whatever?
Oh, Lord.
If these folks are willing to engage in what they're engaging in right now to undermine a member of their own class, what would they have done if Jill Stein had won?
Well, the same thing they didn't do when Obama won, who was definitely radical.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say. But they definitely wanted Hillary in.
Well, yes.
Irked about it.
No, but the way you got to look at this, all the people who are shaking and angry and deranged, I can't think that anything else than those people are somehow, even tangentially, they are complicit in whatever was going on that made everyone just all easy about her winning. If that makes any sense. So, I see representatives, I see senators, I see a lot of people very, very worried about, anything else being uncovered from all these investigations. And, it was a little hard to look through all of the redactions, but, the FISA warrant for Carter Page, which is now out, and again, it's heavily redacted.
You can't get anything out of it.
You can't get much from it, but you certainly can't get the key things you'd be looking for. Like, how the origin of the dossier. Now, it may be redacted out somewhere, but why would you redact that out? You'd expect them to leave that in.
Not if it was sketchy. Or part of,
Well, yeah, if it was, okay, agreed. If it was sketchy, you'd leave it out. But now there's nothing in there.
No, it's nothing. Well, anyway, I got a kick out of listening to these lefties going on and on because they're right. It's like this is a high-level corruption and nobody seems to care.
The lefties are right. I'm so confused now.
The lefties are right.
I'm confused. Is this still the leader of the real lefties? Are there any other ones left?
No, he's not the leader of anything. He is just he's one of the many in the group. But it's as if they're beside themselves. They don't know what to do.
Right.
They can't. And he said earlier in the second clip, he says you can't say anything because then they call you names.
Ooh, that's horrible. They might call me names. Oh boy. Oh jeez. Okay.
Anyway, I just thought that was very interesting.
Well, I liked hearing. Even the second time was fun listening to it. It's just,
You actually listened to the whole thing?
Yeah, you sent it to me. I listened to it, and I replied to your email.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Really?
I didn't see it.
Come on, go find it. Go to your squirrel mail, John. Yeah, find it. I know you can find my email. That's right. The mail program that never disappoints. It's... Wow! Gives the product a whole new boost.
Oh, yeah. I think people are going to flock to it now.
Dustin Jones, thank you for that. Dustin got the message. Let's see. I did get a couple other things.
Hold on a second. I actually went to Squirrel Mail, and thank you for that because I needed to...
you needed to hit update?
I needed to open it to get the spreadsheet off.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good.
I don't see anything from you, I guess.
Let's see.
There's nothing here.
Our DHS cyber chief reporting now the election system works. It's resilient to tampering. So
it wasn't tampered with before.
Yes, right. That's correct. But just letting you know what they're saying. Actually, the most interesting thing to me that came in, I think there's actually a tweet that someone said I should take a look at this. We were not just we, but security expert Steve Gibson were just flummoxed as to this level of detail that the intelligence...
Didn't you play the Gibson clip the last show?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play it again. I'm just referring to the last show.
Okay.
How even security expert Steve Gibson was confused. Did they have some kind of general, all-encompassing knowledge of every packet on the internet? I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of what he was saying.
Yes, it makes zero sense what they said.
Well...
But they are all in agreement, unanimously.
One of our producers, one of our dudes named Ben, tweeted something to me, and I looked into the Cisco router lawful intercept function, which I love as a name by itself. It's very Orwellian.
Oh, it's dynamite.
So lawful intercept, and I'm looking at the docs here. It's publicly available on the Cisco website. Lawful intercept is a process that enables a law enforcement agency to perform electronic surveillance on an individual target as authorized by a judicial or administrative order. So you would need, I presume, a warrant or a form of a warrant. To facilitate the lawful intercept process, certain legislation regulations require service providers and internet service providers to implement their networks to explicitly support authorized electronic surveillance. I didn't know that was a requirement. It doesn't surprise me, but I didn't know it was a requirement. Let me see how this works. So now the way this is legal is because it supports the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, the CALEA, which describes how service providers in the United States must support lawful intercept. But it only works with the Telephone Industry Association and the Packet Cable Electronic Surveillance Specifications. So I guess that encompasses all ISPs, but it seems to be more kind of a a legal way of doing this because it involves wires, I guess. That's where the Kalia thing comes from. But if you look at what they can do, it's really quite interesting. So let me see. They can identify a device, authentication, authorization, accounting. Well, they can actually, it says they can get targets' username, system IP addresses. Really, they can make snapshots of every packet where it's going, but they also have this tap function where if you're going to listen to someone's VoIP call or any other call that's going over the network, it will just suck off every single packet and then be reassembled later into whatever it needs to be to decode it, whether it was an email or whether it was just a file being sent or whether it was a voice over IP stream. They really do. It's kind of like the building on 2nd Street in San Francisco where they just plug in a tap and just suck off everything that's going to that particular IP address.
Yeah, and worry about it later.
Yep. So that could be a way that they got some of this information. I presume that would mean that they had to have the lawful intercept function enabled on a router near the GRU in Russia. I guess.
Maybe not.
But
maybe this is all bull crap.
Oh, very possible. But I wouldn't mind actually knowing. I wouldn't mind understanding it. And I'm, as always, disappointed in the technology press. I'm looking at you, CNET, or anybody, New York Times, anybody. Just give me a little more information on this. What exactly happened? How do they know this? Ask the question at least.
Nobody even bothers to ask the question.
Well, you can look at that document in the show notes.
I will say this, though, the fact that Trump and Putin had a secret meeting for 4 minutes or whatever it was.
2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. Was 2 hours?
4 minutes, 2 hours. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So they had the secret meeting and nothing snuck out of there because Putin is a little more, maybe the KGB or not KGB.
Yeah, his tradecraft, his spycraft.
They swept the room.
Yeah.
So they have to say, oh, my God, we wanted some stuff I almost get the impression Trump wanted something to leak. And nothing leaked. So they said, okay, we're going to invite Putin to Washington.
Yep.
Because when he comes over here, we're going to have another secret meeting. It'll get leaked.
That'll get
leaked. My office is filled with bugs.
One of our producers posited, thought it was a pretty interesting idea that there could have been a USB stick handoff in the meeting.
I thought that was a good idea. It's possible.
Yeah, it could be all kinds of stuff. No, probably what they did is look, how do we save China? Because that'll suck if those guys go down. We need to protect Xi. Said, hey, what can we do with this situation in Syria? Looks like they fixed it.
Trump's a big fan of this war in Syria like the neocons are.
No. And let's remember that is really the reason for this Russia hate is there is a large group, certainly in the United States, who really advocate for war, and they really want it because it's good for business. And I'd say you can call them neocons, you can call them Republicans, they're douchebags. But
I call them douchebags.
Yeah, well, they're douchebags, but they really want war because it does work, but we don't need it. The economy is on paper looks great for whatever that means.
Well, a lot of it has to do with we decimated our manufacturing base by giving everything to China and letting them take our technology and everything in between. It's going to look great because it looks like we're after a war. We're rebuilding the economy like it was with Germany after World War II.
After the war, yeah, exactly. So
things would be looking good, technically.
And just a note on meddling in other people's affairs, just meddling, whether it's elections or otherwise. Meddling. I was doing some research, and you remember it was Frank Wisner who started the Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird, which later was uncovered in the Church Commission hearings, and turns out that a whole bunch of journalists were on the CIA payroll. But I mean, really across the board, Washington Post, the Alsop brothers. Isn't Stuart Alsop still writing for the New York Times? Or is he dead by now?
The venture capitalist Stuart Alsop, who was the editor of InfoWorld?
At the time, New York Herald Tribune.
No, you're thinking that's a different Alsop. You're thinking Stuart Alsop's the guy that we know. He's the
that says
guy
well,
in
it
San
says
Francisco.
Stuart Alsop here. In
Well,
this
that's he's
different,
the son.
different. Oh, okay.
The family's got everyone's name pretty much the same.
Okay. So it was his dad then.
Like his dad or his uncle? I have no idea.
Let me see. Stuart Alsop, Ben Bradley, James Reston, that's the Times, Charles Douglas Jackson, Time Magazine, Walter Pincus, there's a name I remember, The Post, William C. Baggs, Herb Gold, Charles Bartlett, Chattanooga Times. Anyway, so I was researching this, and it turns out that there was another that was all for really U.S.-based press. But then
we had a lot of people that overseas. I mean, the Paris Review was a CIA front.
Well, okay, this is where I'm going. I just want everyone to know what we have been doing and how we operate here in America. We do it pretty well, actually. And it started with something which was completely CIA funded. You may remember this. I'm too young for it. The Congress, what was it? The Congress for Cultural Freedom, the CCF. Does this ring a bell at all?
No.
Well, it later was exposed by some French magazine, Rampart magazine, actually, who I think at the time were based in Paris. But this thing was an operation where they just had hundreds of millions of dollars, and they were giving it to agents and contractors worldwide, but mainly in Europe, to influence, the post-Second World War, Cold War Europe to accept the, quote, American way. And they financed the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra to go over and play, but they did big parties for artists. They had, these CIA-connected spooks would have galleries. They had co-opted, there's always been speculated they co-opted Andy Warhol, or at least liked his soup cans and Brillo pads so much because it projected Americana. And there was just hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on psychologically indoctrinating the artistic intelligentsia of Western Europe. And it was a huge program. I've never heard anyone really talk about it.
Yes, there has been some discussion about this co-opting the art community by the CIA to promote American values, especially overseas where they really didn't exist much.
And this is 60s, 70s when this was taking place.
Yeah. I don't know too much about it. I've heard a couple of things. Even recently, they've been trying to do stuff like that.
Well, we still have Voice of America proudly beaming out on
I'm
long wave
in the arts.
Oh,
in
yeah.
The arts.
Well, music. I think a lot of music has potential for influence. Just getting it played. I'm still waiting for my CIA check.
Yeah, where is it?
I taught Holland how to say Madonna. Come on, guys, give me a check.
Yeah, well,
But it's really fascinating.
You already did that. Just water under the bridge. You don't. It's like you don't pay the guy afterwards.
No. But I did put a couple of links in the show notes, nashownotes.com, and learn about the Congress for Cultural Freedom. It was truly a fantastic operation. And we just go straight for the entertainment. And through that, I learned that both 1984 and Animal Farm the endings were edited by the CIA, different from the book. That's where that whole Hollywood office started. So if you read Animal Farm and you look at the U.S. production of Animal Farm, at the end in the animated movie, it's just the pigs who are left over. In the book, of course, it's the pigs and the farmers, and there's open to interpretation as to what happens. It's a little different than the CIA edited version, and that's now all admitted that they sat there and said, "No, we can't have that."
I don't really like the idea of the CIA making those sorts of artistic determinations. They're not really a bunch of artists.
No.
By their nature.
They're not. They
don't have artist sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what are you going to do?
No.
But since you brought a word up, I might as well play this little clip and get it out of the way, because I know you've been wanting this one. This is Carling. It says Carling on Nice, Fine, and Great.
Well, I know what it is that bothers me about that whole thing. It's the word nice. It's just a weak word. Doesn't have a lot of character, you know. Nice. Isn't he nice? Oh, he is so nice. And she's nice, too. Isn't that nice? How nice they are. I don't care for that, you know? It's like fine. There's another word. How are you? Fine. Bullshit! Nobody's fine. Hair is fine. How's your hair? Fine. That makes a lot more sense to me. Some guys are great. You ever meet those guys? Great. Isn't this great? God damn, this is great. Look, they're going to kill that guy. Isn't that great? That's great.
Yeah, Tina is smiling, I know. We have lots of conversations about the word fine. I call it the F word. Before I'd heard this Carlin skit, I said, fine. Oh, that's the dreaded F word. It wasn't all that great. Oops, now I said the great word.
Great. Yeah, you're that guy.
I am that guy. Before we hit our first break, we have another fantastic story. I'm not quite sure who's playing it or how or what the deal is, other than it just plays so well to the imagination. Moreover, her GQ spread, I didn't even know that this woman had done a spread in GQ. This is the new Russian spy. What is her name? Marina?
Yeah, is this the redhead or is this another one?
This is a different one. It's from Central Casting. It couldn't be any better. She's another redhead Russian.
I saw her. I didn't clip any of this, but I saw her and I said, wow, she's following that kind of Russian kind of style where she's kind of pretty when she's young, and then she starts looking like a babushka pretty early.
The ankles balloon.
And I'm thinking, geez.
Maria
but
is her name.
It's not the same woman. Okay.
Her name is Maria, but if you just do a Bing search on Maria GQ Russian spy, and I'm not sure yet how she got in GQ, but, you know, everything you want in your Russian spy hot chick fantasy is there. And here's a little background, because we have spies amongst us, baby. It's just like the movies.
I'm a representative of Russian Federation.
In this video and in a photo shoot for GQ, 29-year-old Maria Butina looks like a Russian spy out of Central Casting. She came to the U.S. on a student visa in 2016. But the Justice Department alleges she took steps to develop relationships with American politicians in order to...
Now, what bothers me about the reporting, besides it being typically shit and just so incomplete, if she came in on a student visa in 2016, she should be deported. It sounds like she changed her status or something happened, the reason why she is still here at all. Otherwise, maybe she's just being held in detention because she was here illegally. You can't come in on a student visa and be working in any capacity, and I doubt that you got a student visa for 3 or 4 years. Those typically go year by year. So,
you know, I'm looking at pictures of her. The other girl is much better looking.
Oh, yeah, but she got deported.
Yeah.
So this is all we got. Be happy with it.
Advance the interests of the Russian Federation. Photos show her with Wisconsin's Republican Governor Scott Walker and NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you, Right to Keep Around Russia, for hosting this important event.
During President Trump's inauguration in 2017, Butina sent out this photo of herself near the U.S. Capitol. She tried unsuccessfully to arrange a meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin.
Maria is, I believe, the tip of the iceberg.
Seattle's Naveed Jamali knows all about spying.
In the same way that one would say someone enters the mob, I was eventually a made man.
He provided information to the GRU, the Russian intelligence organization recently indicted by special counsel Bob Mueller.
The Russians believed I was a legitimate asset, that I was trustworthy of being given directives to collect intelligence for them, and I was now within their network.
Jamali was actually a double agent working for the FBI counterintelligence division.
Were you being paid by the Russians for this information?
What I said to the Russians is, I just want money. So the short answer, Dave, is that, yeah, they were paying me. And what I did with that money was take it, give it to the FBI, who would then give me the same exact amount in cash back.
And I think this is this little nugget here is the entire reason for the report, as the signal now is, hey, Russia, it doesn't matter who you try to buy because we'll just match your offer.
What? Hold on a second. Let's go back.
They're
to what
laundering
he said,
money, the FBI.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But he says he took the money to the FBI and they gave him cash back.
Yeah.
What was the form of money the Russians were paying in? Pigs?
Bitcoin? I don't know. I think it's irrelevant.
Vague.
It's irrelevant.
I'm sure it wasn't a check
from
the GRU.
What's happening is it's the same process as money laundering, but I think it's also a message like, you know.
Yeah, no, I get the message part. I just don't get his explanation. What he's telling me doesn't make any sense at all, but okay.
Intelligence for them, and I was now within their network.
Jamali was actually a double agent working for the FBI counterintelligence division. Were you being paid by the Russians for this information?
What I said to the Russians is, I just want money. So the short answer, Dave, is that, yeah, they were paying me. And what I did with that money was take it, give it to the FBI, who would then give me the same exact amount in cash back.
Yeah, so it sounds like it was an online transaction, and then he got cash. What a gig.
So I'm happy to say that not only were we able to beat the Russians, but they were actually funding our efforts against them.
Seattle is not immune to Russian espionage. FBI investigators tell me they kept a close watch on the now evicted Russian diplomats working at the consulate in Madison Park. And as we first reported 2 years ago, the Russians have been attempting to infiltrate some of our biggest employers, including Boeing, Amazon, and Microsoft.
Whatever they can do to gain an advantage, it happens every single day.
Corporate espionage.
It's happening, yes.
As Maria Butina works her way through our justice system, there are more alleged spies behind her, including some keeping a close watch on the Pacific Northwest.
I know there are. Even though the consulate here has been closed, I have no doubt that there was a network that supported that intelligence collection efforts that relied on non-uniform, non-diplomatic cover personnel. And I very much believe that network would stay in place here.
Yeah. Good old Seattle. Filled with Ruskies. Hot ones. Hot ones.
Hot Ruskies in Seattle.
She's really not hot, but she knows how to carry herself. And she was sleeping with people. Like, for information.
You know, if some woman wants to go out and start sleeping with people, just randomly.
Spy. Just got to be a spy.
I think she'd probably meet a few people.
Yeah. See?
You know, what's her name? She's sleeping with everybody. She's sleeping with everybody? What's her phone number?
John. Then, let me see. Oh, yes. Browder now has to defend his reputation after Vladimir Putin.
He has a reputation?
I guess he's got something to defend. And when you need to go defend your reputation as a right-winger, where do you go? To the money, honey. You go to Maria Bartiromo. Or in this case, Maria, would you blow me?
Tell us about that, because just to briefly go through your story, at one point, you were one of the leading investors in Russia. You owned a lot of Russian companies, Russian stocks in your Hermitage Capital Fund. You were living between Moscow and London. You were traveling back and forth all the time. When you became aware of corruption going on, oligarchs stealing money from Russian...
What? There's corruption going on? What am I doing here in Russia right after the Soviet Union collapsed? I don't understand.
You wanted...
Go ahead.
It's so stupid. I mean, you don't even go to Russia for the first time without being told, just reams of information about the corruption in Russia.
Where not to go.
That was before the fall of communism, and it got worse after.
Yeah.
So he's all of a sudden... out of the blue, he's what?
He was a legitimate businessman doing legitimate business in Russia.
No way. This is a bullcrap story.
Well, it's Maria Bartiromo.
Aware of corruption going on, oligarchs stealing money from Russian companies. You wanted it stopped. You started to become more of an active investor, calling out this. And then what happened, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so after exposing corruption in these big companies like Gazprom, Putin expelled me from the country, declared me as a threat to national security. The police then raided my offices in Moscow, seized all my documents. I had a young lawyer named Sergei Magnitsky start to investigate, and he figured out that they seized those documents to steal $230 million of taxes that we paid to the Russian government. He exposed it. He was then arrested by some of the people he exposed, put in pretrial detention, tortured for 358 days, and then killed at the age of 37 in a Russian prison on November 16th, 2009.
Wow.
And since then, I put aside everything else I'm doing on a mission to get justice for Sergei Magnitsky, which has...
Get justice for Sergei. And this guy, he needs to just stop bleating. Because anybody who renounces their citizenship doesn't deserve any protection. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, he renounces American citizenship, which is suspect, except for one reason, which some people will do. Taxes.
Yeah.
Although some people have done it for political reasons.
Few. Very, very few.
But I know one. And but it happens. But this guy just seems smarmy.
I have one more clip here.
This is not, this is a very serious matter.
Now, the charges that he levels against you, which were all debunked, we should say, but he says you avoided taxes in Russia and in the U.S. and that you gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton. Your reaction?
Your reaction.
Well,
what kind of question is that? Your reaction. That's the Larry King method. Well,
no, Larry King, I've
your response.
studied Larry King. Larry King has never said that.
He says stuff like, your response. Yeah, he does.
Well, to maybe a caller.
Okay. Well, I don't like it.
Hillary Clinton, your reaction.
I don't like it either.
Well, he's been throwing out charges against me like candy. These particular charges have been analyzed by the U.S. Department of Justice, by the British government, by Interpol, by the German government, and have all been rejected outright. It's just complete nonsense. In terms of the Hillary Clinton campaign contributions, I've given zero contributions to Hillary Clinton in any campaign. I do not make U.S. campaign contributions. And in fact, this $400 million number that he threw out, they then walked back to 400,000 the next day, and the real number is zero.
It's an interesting.
Okay, well, there you go.
Was it walked back to 400,000? I don't remember that.
That's what he's saying.
I think I would have noticed.
That's what he's saying. It was walked back.
Well, how come it never showed up in any of the news reports? You'd think it would have with everybody against Trump and Putin.
You'd think.
That sounds like he's just buffaloing her.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody in the chat room can do some research for us.
Okay. Troll room. Yes.
Troll room, sorry.
Last thing I got on the meeting, Putin-Trump, is oil prices. Just a little more like a backgrounder / overview. Nothing crazy about it, but just the prices and who needs what. This is the chairman of Pioneer National Resources.
We're almost at $4 gasoline in some states. When Brent is $80, you're almost at $4 gasoline. That'll have a major impact on the American consumer. That's the reason I think the president is trying to intervene. Bring the price down a little bit.
Let's look at the top line number. The U.S. is at a record nearly 11 million barrels a day. Your projections are to get to 15 million, which is extraordinary, passing Russia and Saudi Arabia comfortably. What's the time frame?
It's over the next 7 to 8 years, maybe 10 years, but we'll see a lot of it in the next 5 years. We'll be at 13 fairly quickly. We'll surpass Russia here shortly in the next 3 to 4 months. We'll be at 15 sometime in 2026.
How about the trade sanctions that we see the U.S. applying on China, on Canada, on the European Union? Do you worry as a U.S. chief executive that the American president is being too aggressive?
Yes, well, it's affecting us at least two things. One, exports. We do export as a country to China about 300,000 barrels of oil per day. Now, we hope that if they do put tariffs on oil, China does, we can find another home for that 300,000 barrels. Secondly, the pipe tariffs. So we use a lot of pipe in our industry. And so it's raising the cost of the pipe 20, 25, 30% by putting tariffs on foreign steel.
Do you think we're on the precipice of something more severe, though, that the tariffs could lead to a severe slowdown in 2019 or not?
I don't think so. Trump is a businessman. He's a traitor. And I think China and the U.S. will work something out.
Did he call Trump a traitor?
Yes, he's a traitor. Okay, so that could mean that oil prices may go down a little bit, or what is it? I don't track it. Is it 70 now a barrel?
I'd have to look. I can look in a second. But I'll tell you this. They're pumping if we're going to keep this going, this craziness continuing, we're going to pump ourselves into a glut. And the price of oil is going to drop through the floor. I mean, that's the only end result of what they're doing.
That's
here.
what it sounds like. In particular, what I didn't think about that.
Right now, the price of crude, regular crude, not Brent, is $68.
What's Brent?
That's a better product.
No, I mean, what's the price?
I don't. It's not on my list.
65. Okay. So, well, you wouldn't expect
be 65. It would be more.
Yeah, but you wouldn't
more than 68.
Yeah, but you wouldn't expect it to go much lower then, according to this guy. He says can't go to 80 because that's too much. And he has a lot of trust that we're going to work it out with China. But I didn't realize that the tariffs would actually impact our oil export. I didn't know we exported 300,000 barrels a day to China.
That's a lot.
That's quite a lot. So if the tariffs preclude that, that could be problematic.
Well, China understands that they need the oil for the energy. I mean, yeah, they produce they have a lot of coal. They have a huge supply of coal, and they got these other things. Right. That they can use. They need more energy. They need a lot of energy because they're still in the growth phase.
Well, whatever the case, would be a Dvorakism. The Congress.
I got to get rid of that.
Yeah, Congress is saying, okay, they will allow the president's deal with ZTE Corp to remain in place. No sanctions or adjusted sanctions for ZTE. So crisis averted on one hand. I think Trump had to show, according to my thesis, which is that he needed to help Xi keep ZTE alive because it would possibly trigger a domino effect in the Chinese economy. I could be wrong. Or you believe what everyone else says, that it's to get Ivanka's trademarks passed in China and to build Trump Tower in Beijing or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
he can do that
emoluments
without
clause.
Crap. He can do that anytime. It's not.
You'd think,
but it's.
But
and Ivanka can, she's not like she's starving to death.
I'm just saying that is what people cite as the reason.
Democrats.
Yes, Adam Schiff.
Vote for us.
Adam Schiff in particular.
Adam Schiff. Yeah, there you go. There's a guy.
But that's good news, because you'd think that, okay, if Trump, I'm just playing my thesis. If Trump said, all right, I'll fix that, and he fixed it, and how he did that, I don't know. That was some real backroom shit, because there were bills, everyone wanted to slap him down over that. So someone went out with a message and said, listen, we really got to do this. Now we need the quid pro quo. What are we going to get back?
I don't know. It'll be something interesting.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. LSC stands for Cultural Freedom at Dvorak.
In the morning to you, too, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, lost ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
And in the morning to the troll room. Anybody and everyone is welcome in the troll room at noagendastream.com when we do the show live, but it's a 24/7 operation thanks to Void Zero and
Space Force,
Sir Bemrose and Space Force, who keep it running, and we have tons of cool shows on the stream. But we do the show live and we break in, and that's where everyone hangs out, the troll room, noagendastream.com. And in the morning to Nick the Rat. Besides having a fabulous show on the stream himself, Nick does plenty of artwork for us, and he has somehow pulled together the digital missiles, the attack, and showed us a landscape with Twitter missiles shooting skywards. Little Twitter birds with rocket plumes shooting out of their butts. It worked.
Can't beat that.
It worked. It worked well for the show.
It explained a lot. Summarize the show.
Summarize the show. Twitter birds with missile plumes shooting out of their butt. Thank you very much, Nick, and thank you to all the artists who support us.
There.
Well, hello, No Agenda Show. You came for the deconstruction. You stayed for the juvenile delinquency. I mean, the juvenile humor.
Juvenile. We do have a few people to thank. We have 2 executive producers and 3 associates today. John Russ, I think it's Sir John Robinet. 33333 is our top executive producer. 33 with 33 cents. ITM John and Adam, it's a somewhat drunk donation. It's also a call out to all the douchebags and men, women overboard who have stopped listening or donating. If they've stopped listening, this message they won't be heard. Yes, to the person who thinks this does not apply to them. I mean you.
Right.
Only you can keep the No Agenda show alive. No jingles, no karma. Keep doing what you do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Funk came in with $333, Highland, Indiana. Please use the name Funk and see donation note from Dale. Okay, I didn't do that. So I will go to Squirrel Mail. There we go.
He's getting the donation note. Going over to the Squirrel Mail. Looking up the name by email. He is the Squirrel Mail. Have you found it yet, John?
Curiously, no. Did you look at, Jingo seems to work out.
I'm not even gonna look.
Anyway, he's got some jingle requests. I'll see if I can find it for the next segment. But
there's for Puff Funk. For Puff Funk, did he send something? Is that why you're asking?
He says a C donation note from Dale. His number is the email, and I looked it up. I looked up just Dale because it should be everyone named Dale should show up, but it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Request jingles. Let's just do these, and we'll deal with them later. Fact check false. He shot himself. Any collusion? Society defining. What does that mean?
Well, here's what I know. I've never heard of he shot himself, and I've never heard of society defining. I have no idea what these are.
I think he shot himself was no, her head is missing.
No, her head is gone? No.
Anyway, he wants to be Sir Funk of the Trolls. And he would like some early times and BF4.
We'll take care of it.
Fact check false.
Any collusion?
Wait a minute. I'm so behind here. I should try that again. Hold on. I'm just trying to make something work for him. All right, we'll try this. And why
Fact check false.
This is a horrible.
Any collusion?
This is just a mess. This is a train wreck.
You've got karma.
Not how it was supposed to go. All right, let me get back into the groove. And I got to put early times and BF4 on the list. Okay.
I found his note, so we can read his note before we continue. Producer and huge fan here. No Agenda's YouTube video was the boot in the ass to get my friends and fellow producers, fellow producers, as I've hit them in the mouth into podcasting. We have a lowly podcast called the Netflix Explorers, where we just ramble on about Netflix movies and steal random NA tropes for ourselves in order to justify getting together once a week. So they have a podcast that's a meetup.
It's basically a no agenda meetup where they discuss what they saw on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like typical no agenda.
Yeah, sounds like no agenda meetup. Yeah.
Yeah. Our third year in the show comes up in January. I wonder if they're all splitting the same account. Our third year in the show comes up in January. Instead of copying a similar no agenda, bombastic, exciting intro for each show, and to end asking for a taxi, as of a few weeks ago, we wanted to do something that John mentioned in the No Agenda show a few weeks back, a radio style plug. Would it be out of line to ask either of you fine gentlemen to record a "Hi, this is Adam, John, and you are listening to the Netflix Explorers, podcasting wherever you prefer." Podcast. Oh, no, okay. It goes like this. I'll just do it now. You can take it from here.
All right, here we go.
Hi, this is John, and you're listening to the Netflix Explorers podcast.
No, wait. I think when you do, "Hi, this is John," do "Hi, this is Adam," and then you finish it out.
Hi, this is John.
And it's Adam.
And you're listening to the Netflix Explorers podcast.
Great.
He wants a bunch of other things, too. We're not going to do it. You see, it's a scam. You can get that off of any of one of our podcasts. Anyway, you can use that. Am I being a dick for asking? Let me know either way. I don't need it on the show. It's not that I'm not that vain. Well, and I would like to have a clip from my most respected on-air personalities. Huge admirer, podcaster, and troll, Dale.
All right, Dale. Thank you very much. And we'll see you at the round table.
Indeed. Onward to our list. This is slower than last week. The last show. Sir Fish, $250 to be associate executive producer for show 1053. Holy crap! That newsletter was he says that fucking newsletter was fucking awesome. He says assume here, but it's awesome is what he meant. You hit it out of the park. I had to donate. You may want to edit.
You may want to edit the F-bombs.
I think so.
Thanks. You should put that at the beginning.
Sir Carey's, the newsletter had an essay in it because as we know, I eventually, every so often I produce an essay.
Was this the Liberal World Order essay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was okay. It made a point. And you brought it up. Yeah. It made a point that this show is actually being attacked.
Oh, well, we're most definitely being attacked. We're being attacked on Twitter. We're being atwacked. We're being atwacked is what we are. Atwacked.
Yeah, by ducks.
By ducks. We're being atwacked. It's, they're going to figure out something eventually, but, they try to go after our advertisers, which we don't have. We seem pretty bulletproof, but it certainly slows down the day. If your Twitter feed, because, that's one thing that Twitter is not good at. I'd like to just mute a whole conversation. Can you do that?
No, you just keep muting the individuals.
No, because, they
or
put
blocking them is better because it irks them.
Right, but they'll put 17 people on, and then, you're looking at your feed, and you're getting anything out of order, and it's just all hate and horrible things. Like, what? And I did what you told me to do the other day. I blocked the guy, reported him for harassing. And Twitter sent me back a note and said, no, we checked it, but it's not really harassing.
But then you do it again.
It's the same guy that and I wrote the same note. It's like
he's
0 followers. I said 0 followers. He's following no one. It's just harassing. You block him, and then he starts a new account. And they sent me a note back and said, no, I don't think so.
Well, you at least get notes back. I don't.
Well,
I see him getting bumped. He's getting bumped. He gets kicked off, and then he comes on with a new account, just like you said. He's got no followers, and he starts. I mean, the thing is, he got no followers. That means nobody, unless somebody stupidly retweets him.
Right.
Nobody will ever see his message, and you can just block him again.
Yeah. But a lot of people just go to Twitter, go to at Adam Curry, and just look and see what everything's on my timeline, and those guys do show up. People do that, Or they just do a search.
Timeline.
Or they do a search. Just do Adam Curry in the search box.
Oh, yeah. If you do Adam Curry in the search box, it could show up. Yeah, that way. Yeah. Sir Carey's, meanwhile, in Somerville, Massachusetts, 237.32. With this donation, I should reach the level of baronet.
Oh, nice.
Note in accounting sent to Adam.
Yes.
You're on the list.
Yep, forwarded, and thank you very much. And we'll have your fresh title ready in the second half.
And finally, William Gefkin, Maspeth, New York, 203.88. A New York Times annual subscription is $203.88, which is what he donated. He says, I'd rather get my news from No Agenda. And then as a kicker, he just puts taxation is theft at the end.
I'm not sure what it says about the show, but I like
taxation
it.
Is
taxation is theft. Yes, totally agree. Well, William, thank you very much. That's a great idea. Just see, what could you live without? And it turns out you can live without a lot.
$203 is too much money. Now, I would say it's not too much money if there was no advertising in there.
Right.
But the New York Times makes most of their money with ads in the newspaper.
Is that really the breakdown? It's more from ads than from subscriptions?
Yeah, it's always been that way in the newspaper business. That's why newspapers used to cost a nickel.
Right, but is it these days? Is that ratio still roughly the same?
No, because the classified thing, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, that went away.
They shot themselves in the foot a number of issues. But I think with the Times, $203.88 for a year. Because you can't really read. I mean, I had a couple of subscriptions, as you remember, John reading from the New York Times.
Oh,
we had
yeah.
a jingle. Remember the jingle?
Oh, I bet we still have it somewhere.
Probably. John's going to read. No, that was Adam's going to read his email. I can't remember the tune, but I had a subscription, and I would read these articles, and I'd make some comments for it. This went on for about a year, and then the piles of newspapers would just stack up, and you take them out to the recycling bin. It would fill the bin up. It was just a nightmare. And I looked into this, and a lot of people don't subscribe to these newspapers because it just clutters the house with newspapers. So,
what was the title of that jingle? Because I only have this one.
John's gonna read his tweets.
You don't do that anymore either, do you?
No, it wasn't that interesting.
I know what you want is you really want me to go back to the face bag so I can read more of the story.
I think about it. I say, no, here's what I want. I want this is a plea to the
community,
our community.
The community.
If you find some unhinged, especially if it's written in the form of a diatribe, like somebody is apoplectic.
Mm-hmm. Word of the day.
Forward it to Adam, and then he can read.
Wait, what did you just say? Forward it to John so John can filter it, and this is going to be a deluge.
No, most people won't.
It will be a debacle.
It'll be a debacle. Yes, it could be a debacle.
We want to thank everyone who supported us, our associate and associate executive, and our executive producers both. 2 executive producers, and we had 3 associate executive producers. Thank you for keeping the show on the rails. It's how the value for value system works. It's how we've been keeping it all alive for over a decade. And these are actual credits that you can use anywhere that credits are understood and accepted. Try them on your LinkedIn, your resume. You can say you're an executive producer of No Agenda Show, episode 1053. We'll be thanking more people $50 and above coming up later, and a new show on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA,
where we continue to hand out the deconstruction, which you can go out and spread worldwide.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Squirrel.
Shut up, slave.
I have one thing I just want to get out of the way.
Okay.
And this is the Whoopi Goldberg event.
I'm glad, and somehow I knew you would clip it, and I thought to myself, everybody has seen this. I was like, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm sure you have a reason to bring it up.
Yeah. Because there's been a bunch of rumors that she's not going to show up on Monday. She's going to voluntarily quit the show. And I'm thinking, what, over this? I mean, I have the clip. Let's play the clip. A lot of it you can't hear because they're talking over each other. I guess Whoopi cusses her out and tells her to get off the show.
Well, Judge Janine's promoting her book.
Yeah.
And then, because I have seen the segment, and I think at a certain point she talks to one of the other women about Trump derangement syndrome and beckons towards Whoopi, and Whoopi said, "Did you just point at me?"
Yeah.
And she went, yes.
Here's the end of that little back and forth, just so we have a little context.
Seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. I've never seen anybody be so dismissive. And clearly you don't watch the show, so you don't know that I don't suffer from that. What I suffer from is the inability to figure out how to fix this. That's my issue. But one of the things that you talk about a lot, and I'm curious about it, is the deep state. How long has the deep state been there, and who's running it?
Well, I want to answer your question because you had
you a question.
You had your opening statement, which was how horrible it is that Donald Trump is talking about all of these people.
Sorry,
you know what
that's
I think
what you said. You said,
Whoopi, you know what's horrible?
That
when people who shouldn't be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible?
What's horrible
when the president of the United States whips up people to beat the hell out of people.
No.
Say goodbye.
Let me go.
Thank you to Judge Janine Pirro. Her book, Liars, Cheaters, and Liberals, is out now. We will be right back.
Put time back. So you saw me do something I very rarely do. I very rarely lose my cool, and I'm not proud of it. I don't like it.
Well, she went on to say she didn't like being called hysterical, which I don't believe Judge Jeanine said.
No, she never did, and Whoopi never apologized. So now the rumor is that she's going to be gone.
Really?
And I was thinking...
Well, no, hold on. The rest of the rumor is that after that segment, Whoopi and Judge Jeanine were backstage, and she was yelling, "Get the F out! Get the F out of the building!" According to Judge Jeanine, Whoopi was so mad she was spitting on her.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that's bullcrap.
Hey, you know what? We need more women running the world because it'll be great fun.
Yeah, Adam@curry.com. Now, back to the situation. I just didn't see that what aired is what was important, not what went on backstage or anything else. I did not see why, if she gets kicked off the show, there has to be some reason other than this incident, because she's nuts anyway.
Well, Whoopi
so
can't.
I started looking at the
Whoopi can't get kicked off of the show.
Sure, she could.
No, man, she's too important for the show. That's just
when it comes to this level of mercantile kind of cross promotion.
Okay.
Judge Jeanine's publisher is the Center Street Press. The Center Street Press is owned by Hachette, who is slowly becoming one of the biggest publishers in the world by buying up everybody, including Wenner's operation, Jan Wenner's operation, and Disney's Hyperion, which they just picked up recently. And when these deals go down, they're big deals. And there's a lot of, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to let you do some promotion. We'll promote you. You promote us. You rub our back. We rub your back. And Disney's really good.
Yes, she was there for the book. Big mistake, Whoopi.
And they don't go for this. Like, this is interfering with commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whoopi can have her stupid opinions about whatever she thinks, that is going on. But this is interfering with commerce. Judge Jeanine went back to her publisher who booked her there, chewed out somebody who chewed out somebody at Hachette, who chewed out somebody at Disney.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point. So how long has this been a property of the same company?
Hyperion, which was a development of Disney, they started the negotiations to buy the company in 2005, I think. And so they've been in bed with each other because Disney needs a publishing company.
Right.
And they don't, because they do a lot of business with publishing companies, the Marvel and DC Comics. Marvel, which is the name of a chip company. Anyway, they don't, this is like part of the business. You do these kinds of things. You don't let your hosts think that they're so important, which is what Whoopi does, thinks she's so important that she can get away with this. You really have to slap these people down once in a while.
Yeah, when you get to the commerce level, yes. Because I'm sure Judge Jeanine's book is going to be a seller.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just say Judge Jeanine, she's 67. She's pretty spry.
She's very spry. She's quick-witted. She's very presentable.
Yes. Do I need to turn on executive mode? She's very That's when we talk about older women, we say they're very presentable.
No, she looks like she's in her 40s.
Wow. Well, you're getting lucky next time she sees you. Holy moly.
A baby gets...
Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Wrong one.
Anyway, so that's what I think might be going on if anything happens. Even though it'll be handled, Whoopi's going to voluntarily quit. If this is what the rumor is, she's going to voluntarily quit, which means she didn't voluntarily quit.
Right.
About that.
Right. So where's this rumor?
Non-disclosure sign where she can't disparage the company.
Where's this rumor showing up? Where have you heard about this?
Non-disparagement agreement, it's called. You know what those are.
But where's the rumor showed up that she may not be returning on Monday?
It's just kind of here and there.
Just out there.
Yeah, I don't have an exact spot where it landed.
Thank you, Rich Koning.
John's gonna hum the Sunday Times.
It wasn't just a jingle, man. That's one of the first professional ones we got from Kevin Reeves.
Yeah.
And you
I can actually sing.
And you don't even get the Sunday Times anymore.
No. Well, I started off with the regular New York Times subscription. Then I said, I can't take it anymore. So then I backed it off to the Sunday Times. There was another jingle that preceded this one, I think. And then it was piling up too much. And I just said, what am I doing this for? It's like, no.
Right. Well, that was back in the day when in 2008, 2009, and I was reading the Financial Times to you, and you were reading the Sunday Times to me, because the internet was really still quite fledgling, certainly with the news and analysis. And now we still don't have any news and analysis.
Detective Dookie.
Detective Dookie.
Poop Police.
Hey, I gotta
you Special Poopers Unit.
I really got to ask you at this point, what is this strange phenomenon of people pooping in public? People who are not even homeless, who just are joggers.
Yeah, now it's become a thing.
What is this? We had it. There's a couple of cases, and it seems to be a worldwide phenomenon. Now, this may be
yeah, thank you, San Francisco, for leading the way. We're a cultural beachhead here.
I left my poop.
Oh, there you go.
In San Francisco. Yeah. No, but seriously, I mean, and they're all getting caught on CCTV.
Yeah.
But these are joggers.
Yeah, the jogger one is the best. A woman.
It just seems like, and there's people pooping in supermarkets. Is it? But is this a thing?
It's not a thing that I know of. I wish someone would explain to me if it was. I think it's part of the Trump syndrome.
Well, it could be. I mean, we know about because you brought that to light, that there are women in particular who like to poop in their pants. That's like a weird turn on for them. And I don't know why this is coming up other than it's in the news, or, what passes for news. It's just, I don't know. And it seems like this like more women do this than men.
It's beyond me.
But yeah, the woman in the supermarket with her kid just drop one right on the floor, keeps walking. Yeah. There was a woman who wasn't allowed to use the restroom who got mad and pooped on the floor and started throwing it at the cashier.
Like a chimp.
And what is going on? Yeah, what is going on? I know I'm just asking the same thing over and over again.
This is like a rhetorical question that you keep repeating.
Yes, it is. That's not like. It is a rhetorical question I keep repeating. But could it?
Yeah, because you're.
Could it be?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's just the weirdest thing. Somebody that's better than us at doing psychoanalysis, because that's not what we do.
Right.
It should be able to. We have listeners that could maybe explain this. We have a lot of listeners in counseling and psychologists. We have all kinds of people that listen to the show. Well, perhaps one of them can brief us.
And maybe it's a combination of things. So
or in the case of the poopers, they'd be debriefed.
There it is. Thank you. So we know that there are amygdala issues with there are a lot of amygdala issues, but it also turns out that, well, although there's conflicting reports, some reports say, if you're conservative, your amygdala is more active in your natural beast environment, your reptilian you, where you just want to strike out and strike back, and everything is said to you becomes offensive and mean and an attack. And of course, there are reports that say that this is only with the liberal brains. What else have we had? What other brain issues? Well, we know that the smartphones are messing with you with your Pavlovian response mechanisms. Maybe the hippocampus is also being affected, and this was a long report on NPR about, and that's how I got into it, about Keyhole, the company that Google bought, which I think is really the basis still of Google, the actual geolocation, the tracking, knowing where everybody is at any moment in time, who they're close to. I think that's really their magic secret sauce. So they were talking about how that deal came down and where that company came from. But then there was John Hughes. Now, I think he's not a psychologist. He's a particle physicist. In fact, he's one of the Higgs boson guys. But he had something very interesting to say about the use of GPS on smartphones.
So what are the upsides, the downsides of GPS technology from your research, from your experience?
Well, the upside clearly is that you have right in your hands a map of your environment, and it often helps. The problem, as I see it, is the part of our brain which is wired to do voyages or journeys. This kind of thing is something that doesn't get used. And there was a recent study in London of people that navigated through the London streets either using a GPS or using their native abilities. And this part of the brain was completely dark for people that used the GPS and was fully lit up by people who are navigating. The other aspect, which is fairly important and is interesting, is the same part of the brain called the hippocampus is responsible for declarative memory. That is to say, the memories that we use. If you call up the name of your favorite high school teacher, for example, that's a declarative memory. And it's also involved in how we plan for the future. So the idea that we just turn off this important part of our brain is a little scary to me.
So you're saying with the GPS, we are essentially ignoring the real world cues that we've always used to get around as humans. We ignore our own internal homing devices, if you will.
Yes, that seems to be correct, and it's borne out by a lot of studies by neuroscientists at this point. The other thing, if you think to what it's like using a GPS, you're getting a very narrow window on the world. You're just seeing what the next turn is, and you aren't getting this large picture view. And the way our brains operate is to have kind of a large picture view of the environment, as if we're on a magic carpet hovering over the environment. And we tend to lose this with GPS.
Now, I don't think this is very healthy.
Well, I have thoughts on this, too. Because I've noticed this, and I try to avoid using the GPS as much as I can. And what I've done is I've reverted back to the idea of printing out the directions.
MapQuest, baby. MapQuest.
They all do it, by the way. Bing does it.
Yeah.
Bing has a pretty good Bing's navigation is not bad. Google, of course, which I think has deteriorated over time to the point where it's almost unusable. Google keeps changing their vendors, I believe, but I can't find out because the press division of Google won't talk to anybody. So you ask them that question, you won't get an answer. But Google seems to be deteriorating, and they all have these different systems. But if you go back and you say, well, let's see, what is where is this place I want to go to? And then you look at the map of where it is, and then you look at the different streets and you try to memorize what those streets are, and then you use the map on your computer to see where you're going, and you jump in your car, and then you just go. And you don't use the navigation at all, and I think it's better because I was using the navigation. I was noticing I wasn't having as much fun because I'm California. California is a lot of us, not you, or a lot of people don't get this, and younger kids don't get it.
I understand the fun of driving.
But we used to drive and drive and drive. We'd drive to L.A. on the weekends. We'd drive to Mexico. We'd drive to Reno.
Woo! Donkey show!
We'd be driving every which way. The what's the name of the Blue Angel or whatever the name of the place was. We'd just do that. We'd be driving around, and then you'd cruise. You'd be cruising. They used to have these cruising things where thousands of kids were going up and down the street. So you got into that kind of thing, and you used a map to get around. And I noticed that when I was driving around using the GPS solely, which is handy in situations where you really don't care. You just want to get out of there. You want to get to the airport, or you want to get it, you're in some funky town somewhere and you want to get out of there. You don't care about having fun driving.
You don't give a shit.
In normal, I see people, they're going to go to the Safeway and they got the GPS up.
So this research is very interesting. They, I think it was mentioned in the clip about the University of London researchers. The London taxi drivers, they may have changed recently, if I recall, but they had to have the knowledge. They had to be able to know every route in London. Yeah. And the research showed that London cab drivers who spent 3 years learning their way around London by spatial methods, which is, you see the guys, if you've ever been in London, the guys on their little scooters with a map mounted right in front of them. Part of their hippocampus is larger than the control group of non-cab drivers. But most importantly, and I'm very happy to hear you say this, because the other day we were talking about OTG phones, and you said, I need to have navigation. And so I'm glad that you're not overusing it. fMRI scans were taken of older adults who were GPS and non-GPS users. The subjects accustomed to navigating by spatial means were found to have higher activity and a greater volume of gray matter in the hippocampus than those used to relying on GPS. These adults also did better on the standardized test in the diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, which often precedes the onset of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Well, this is, who's this? Neuroscientist Véronique Bobo of McGill University in Montreal, Canada, said the results of the study suggest using spatial memory regularly may improve the function of the hippocampus and would help ward off cognitive impairments as we age, but suggested it is wise to restrict GPS use to an aid in finding the way to a new destination, but to turn it off on the way back or when going somewhere that is not new. Building cognitive maps takes time and effort, but with the hippocampus, it may be a case of use it or lose it. And Bobo says she does have fears that reducing the use of spatial navigation strategies may lead to earlier onset of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah, I find that to just be a specious argument. It makes no sense
because
based on what these diseases are. But I will say that if the hippocampus, whatever it's called,
hippocampus,
is affected adversely because of using GPS. I don't know, how much GPS do you have to use for it to become, I mean, you're driving all the time and using GPS all the time, I guess on garage sales or something like that where you
hey, we got some garage sales, gotta bring the smartphone.
You plug them all into the smartphone and then you go driving through the hills from place to place to place. You could probably do it other ways, but that seems like an effective use.
Well, you know what?
But generally speaking, I see people with the thing on all the time. They're constantly going to some place, you know how to get there. I know how to get to San Francisco, and I know my way around San Francisco. I don't necessarily need the GPS. Now, once in a while, I'll turn it on going to someplace and find alternative routes because it does find some. I found a couple of interesting
rerouting. Well, I think the traffic information is the most important. You can just see it. Oh, there's traffic here and there and there.
Yeah, that's kind of useful.
But I just want to say, because you kind of already gave the reason for diminishing GPS use. You just have more fun. Just like I've been carrying around this Kyocera flip phone, and it does everything I need it to do. I've actually found that almost every service has a web browser version that works, including Instagram, including even Uber. You can still, it's not, they can't find you. You can't automatically find where you are, which is kind of what you want. But most of these services still have, perfectly working web interfaces, and you just cut out all the tracking stuff so they know what you're doing. Screw that. And so since I've gotten rid of that, I'm having fun watching idiots on their phones all day. Same in traffic. I mean, you can, if you're not, you have time to focus, you're looking out the window because you do have to see where you're going and not looking at the screen. And I'm horrible at directions. I'm the first one to admit I'm really lost if I don't have some extra indication. But it's much more fun to watch the moronic other drivers. And it's probably safer.
Well, I'll tell you a couple of disadvantages, too. I used to develop my own shortcuts. I live in the Bay Area. I know how to get around. And so there was this shortcut that I've been using for probably 10 years. I was always thinking of maybe putting it on YouTube. And it's a way to get on the Bay Bridge. It's kind of an awkward way, but it works like a champ. It bypasses everything. And next thing you know, you're on the bridge. So I take it just recently. I take my shortcut. I've got Jay, I think, and somebody else in the car. And I go, the thing is backed up. And she says, yeah, Google has been using this shortcut of yours.
Right.
And I said, what? And so the Google has ruined my shortcut. I'm not very pleased about this.
Yeah. And
it's a shortcut for a reason.
And here's a thought. I'm not a guy. GPS has changed lives in so many incredible ways. As an airman, GPS is incredibly important. But there's no reason to have the two-way thing going on. So just buy a TomTom. What do they cost these days? What's a TomTom cost? Like $60, $70? Yeah, just get a portable unit and just use it. That'll be fine. They're
actually somewhat better.
They probably are.
TomTom and Magellan. I had it with Magellan for a while. They're in some ways they're better because they've been working on it and they keep improving it. With Google, for example, it's never better because they keep going from one vendor to another, and the vendor is sometimes a startup. Where do they get cheap? It's almost like the best price kind of model. And so it's always like sketchy. It doesn't always work the same. I had one time I was in Los Angeles. I'm trying to get to the Burbank airport. I'm out in Venice, Malibu area. And so I decide, well, what route should I be taking back? Should I go down Sunset? Should I do this and should I do that? The thing keeps trying to route me to the 405. And I look at the 405. The 405 is stopped dead from probably somewhere in Nome, Alaska, all the way down to Ensenada. There's nothing moving there. To put me on the 405, I would have missed my flight. And so I started just going out Sunset, and I just keep going and said, turn around, go back, go back, go back. It keeps trying to reverse me to get to the 405 for some reason. I would think it's only going to take me a couple blocks on that thing because I still have to go east. And it keeps telling me to go back, go back, go back. I kept going, waiting for it to stop doing that. It finally stopped and gave up and decided, hey, I guess you're going on some other route. Let me reroute you that way. The old Google Maps would never have done that. I remember when they first came out, they never told you to take a U-turn, ever. Now they do it constantly. It's like some other vendor. Google's products are just really flaky. Anyway, that's the boringest story I could tell. But
yeah, that was pretty boring. But I got a better story for you now. The Frank Abagnale. He is the guy, the real life person behind the book and the play and the movie Catch Me If You Can. When did that come out? Was that the 90s?
I would look it up. Keep talking.
Catch Me If You Can. Now, this was about a kid who at 16 ran away and he traveled around the world posing mainly as an airline pilot. And he flew for free everywhere and, regulations.
2002.
Okay, 2002. Flew around the world. Then he posed as a lawyer, I think a banker, all kinds of
airline pilot.
Well, that was the number one. Is what I said. Number one was airline pilot, but he was also cashing, tens of thousands of dollars worth of phony checks, and so eventually he caught up to him. He went to jail in France, then he went to jail, I think, in Spain, and then he was extradited, went to jail in the States. And instead of serving his full term, the FBI came over and said, you were pretty good at that deception. We'd like to hire you. And I think he worked for the FBI for 30 years after that, which, and he did a talk at Google, ironically. And, it was a very interesting chat about deception and how he did it. And it was a fun talk. But at the end, it's about 3 minutes, and he's now out of the agency, but he consults for the FBI and the CIA, mainly on technology. And there were two things that he said. One, that, I looked into it, and I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. Sounds like bullcrap to me, but you don't know. And the second one was really just the capabilities that they have that we've discussed before, law enforcement, in this case, FBI. And I just thought it was fun to hear it from someone who apparently would know.
Hold on a second. So this guy basically bullshitted his way around the world and then bullshitted his way into the FBI.
No, the FBI just came to him and said,
sometimes these things work out that way. And then he became a dude named Ben.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I always used to write to my class about...
Oh, and a professor as well. I'm sorry. He gets to teach about it as well.
What will we investigate 5
Is this a great country or what? We know how to play.
Years from now, what will an agent be doing 5 years from now? And unfortunately, there's good news and there's bad news. First of all, the good news, we will be doing away with passwords in the next 24 months. Passwords will leave the world. There will be no more passwords. There is a new technology called TruSona. That's TRUSONA, stands for True Persona. It is a company in Scottsdale, Arizona that created a technology for the CIA, which we have used now for the last few years. That technology, and I was an advisor on that technology for the CIA, so I'm an advisor on bringing it to the commercial world. But it was the ability for an agent to send data back from the field, such as Afghanistan, on their iPhone, and that Langley would know 100% that is the agent on the other end, to 100% identify the person on the other end of the device. That's a level 4 security. So they basically said, what if we brought this to level 2? security, and we did away with passwords. So immediately when they announced that, Microsoft gave them $10 million and said, I'm in, develop it. So Microsoft is going to use it on all their gaming, all their access to their computers, etc. We now have the ability to identify who the person is on the other end of that device. And when you go to their website at Trusona, they actually show you how it's done. So they show you demo videos there that are 3 or 4 minutes long that show you how it's done. So I think that's a good part. But I do believe that cyber, up until this...
Okay. So I went to Trusona's website mainly to see if they were a public company. We could buy some stock. They're not. They're a private company. But this is utter bullcrap. They have a 45-second video, and I did go there, and I did take a look. And their incredible idea is you go to a website, it pops up a QR code on the screen, you scan that with your iPhone, and then it unlocks. How is this proof positive? I mean, you could be holding someone's severed head in an iPhone 10. Yup, authenticated. You could be pressing a dead, severed finger onto the Touch ID. I don't understand how this is foolproof and how passwords are going away.
At all.
It's completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think he was just selling it to Google. That's why maybe he was there. I don't know what that was about. That was very strange. So, unless there's something special they have on, there's something special they have on the iPhone or some specialized app, which they did not show, just sounds like bullcrap to me. And I like my passwords. I like having something locked in my head that people can't get to.
And passwords aren't going away in 24 months. This guy's full of shit.
Totally. But listen to what he had to say. And although he doesn't mention it, I believe this timeline of 5 years that he'll mention has to do with the implementation of 5G cellular technology.
This point in time has been used for financial crimes or gathering data and information which is of value. What's going to happen is we're going to see cyber very quickly now turn very black. So we have the ability, as you know, to basically shut someone's pacemaker off, but we have to be within 35 feet of them. We test these devices at Quantico all the time. So as long as I walk up within 35 feet of you, I take control of any bodily device you have on you. So if I want to assassinate you, I want to speed it up, take it down, I can do that.
I like to speed it up or take it down. I hadn't considered that, taking control of someone's pacemaker. You're up there doing a speech at the lectern.
Yeah, I wonder about some of these assertions.
But I believe that in 5 years, you'll be able to do that from 5,000 miles away. We have the ability now that we test that we can chase a car down the interstate. We got to get up within 35 feet of the vehicle. We take over the vehicle. We shut the motor off. We lock the person in the car. We lock the power windows so they can't open them. We can turn on their airbag. Again, 5 years from now, you'd be able to do that 5,000 miles away.
Now, this, I think, is plausible.
I would, right here, I want to pause and do one of the No Agenda tips. Because if what he says is true, which is possible with some of the newer cars, you can't do it with my 25-year-old Lexus.
No. God, no. We have to take you out the old-fashioned way with 50 cal.
Yeah, something like that. But you would have, everyone should have one of these. I noticed this. Mimi's got one in the one of the vans we have, and it's sitting there. And I was just, what do you got this for? She says, well, you never know.
I can't wait to hear what this is. This death-defying, law enforcement defeating device.
Well, in this case, it's one of those little hammers with a little point that's got a diamond head on it, and you pop
window
it against any window, and it shatters it into a million pieces.
Yes, and you can also cut your seatbelt with the handle.
I believe so. Yeah, it's a little emergency thing. It's supposed to be if you land in the drink. And you can't, all of a sudden your car's shorted, you can't lower your windows.
Now, this being a no agenda tip, let me ask you a question. If law enforcement is after you, they lock your car, turn off the engine, lock the windows, deploy the airbag, do you think it's a good idea to bash the window and run away from your vehicle? Do you think this is a good idea?
I think these guys are talking about assassinations.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I would say if it's from 3,000 miles away, Nobody's chasing me. There's somebody
playing
a prank or they're trying to kill me or harass me.
Maybe
I want that little hammer.
Maybe we need no agenda emergency hammers.
They're available. Go buy one at the
No agenda
store.
Branded.
Yeah, branded. We've already decided not to start branding stuff.
With a whistle on the other end.
Well, you need
and a light.
So yes, our electrical grid used as a terrorist tool, the ability to shut down an entire system, shut down an entire banking system, those are all the things that unfortunately we'll be dealing with in the next 4 or 5 years as cyber starts to make that turn.
And it's not like Professor Ted predicted that or anything.
To the very black side of cyber, not just about stealing money, information, and data. Today what we have is we develop things, so we say to you, here's a device you put in your kitchen, and then you can talk to it to tell you, ask what the weather is, what's on TV tonight, all of that. I could easily reverse that and listen to everything you say in your house. There are so many weaknesses in your home. Your security cameras are access points, your remote control on your TV, your Samsung television, your refrigerator that tells you how much milk is in it. My thing is, I really don't need my refrigerator to talk to my toaster.
He's imagining that there's a house that uses these devices. Nobody does.
Just listen to what he says, though. You stepped on him making your point.
Yeah, well, you back it up.
You can talk to it to tell you, ask what the weather is, what's on TV tonight, all of that. I could easily reverse that and listen to everything you say in your house. There are so many weaknesses in your home. Your security cameras are access points, your remote control on your TV, your Samsung television, your refrigerator that tells you how much milk is in it. My thing is, I really don't need my refrigerator to talk to my toaster. They've gotten along for a long time without ever having a conversation. But what happens is we develop something, we get real excited about, we gotta get this to the marketplace. And sure enough, we never look at the negative side. All I try to say to a technology company, yeah, this is great. Now, can you take a little time to just say, how would someone use this technology in a negative, self-serving way so that we build the block to that before we ever give it to the public to use it? We'd save a lot of problems.
So it's kind of interesting. I think on one hand, he's advocating for all, shepherding in passwordless, seamless technology. On the other hand, he's clearly aware that 5G is going to give us all these capabilities. I think that's where he gets the refrigerator toaster thing, which, they do exist, John, these Internet of Things. There are toasters that you have to click OK for the EULA the first time you turn it on in order to use it.
Do you know anyone who has one of these toasters?
On Twitter, yeah, but not personally, no. The toaster is a bad example because what really happened is people started using their talking tubes to control their music system and lights. That's pretty and thermostat. That's pretty much it. The smart home is done. But all of those are horrible spy devices, no doubt.
I don't think that we've beaten this to death enough. That this guy is really not giving us any new information. I would say I thought that he was going to talk about the dangers of 5G as a technology in general. The frequencies of 5G, the fact that you have to have those things everywhere.
I'm reading that firefighters, the firefighter union has blocked firehouses from having 5G sites on them because they did some tests and firefighters were feeling down, woozy, and they had headaches.
It's going to cause tinnitus. The 5G, from what I can tell so far, and even though I haven't really looked into it to the extent I should, if I want to pontificate about it, but I haven't heard anything good about the technology per se. No. Oh, yeah, you get more bandwidth, and it's great for the Internet of Things for some reason.
No, it's great for more tracking.
And it's probably fantastic for tracking.
And you can always find the person's pacemaker. Yeah, that's the idea. Well, it also...
I got another moneymaker then. There's this cloth, Faraday cloth, that you can use. You buy suits and shirts.
Yeah,
made out of this Faraday cloth.
Just have what are you going to do for your head?
Well, it's not the pacemaker's not going to. You want to protect the pacemaker.
Oh yeah, okay, yes, all right.
No, for your head, you're going to have to wear aluminum foil. That's pretty obvious.
So you wear the Faraday suit with the tinfoil wrap.
Yeah, tinfoil hat.
Great. And then you have your little no agenda hammer. On one hand, if you slap
Just
it down,
in case.
it goes,
Stop the hammering!
and if you blow on the whistle, I mean, we got some great products lined up for the fall season.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Nutrisystem, who have done exactly what you'd expect them to do. Well, I don't even want to give it away. I'll just play this commercial.
Can your DNA help you lose weight? Introducing the all-new DNA Body Blueprint from Nutrisystem. For a limited time, save 50%. Discover how your metabolism affects your weight loss and what to do about it.
For me, bread is on the menu.
Nutrisystem is America's only food delivery service with 45 years of safe and effective weight loss results. And your favorite foods made healthier delivered to your door. Call or go online right now to lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches in your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed. Plus, get 1 week of Turbo Shakes free to help shrink your belly. For a limited time, save 50% off the all-new DNA Body Blueprint. Let your DNA determine the blueprint to lose weight successfully.
There it is. So we've always heard the DNA will have personalized medicine. You'll be able to fix yourself on a highly individualized, personalized basis. And what do we see roll out? Fucking frozen burgers from Nutrisystem with your DNA blueprint. Are you kidding me? Is that the level of technology that we're talking about?
Everything's a scam.
This is truly a scam. And I think they're setting themselves up for lawsuits. I think it's a very dumb idea.
I'm sure the lawyers, this is a big company. They lawyers went over this, and there's no lawsuits going to happen.
Well, I think that it's opening up the market for DNA tests with specific, how about this? To find out if you're suitable for listening to the No Agenda Show, take the No Agenda Show DNA test. We'll let you know if this will be beneficial or detrimental to your health.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Yeah, we do have some people to thank for show 1053. Beginning with, right over here on this list, Sir Cal of the Lavender Blossoms again.
Woohoo!
He's coming in a lot. He must be doing well. What's the name of it? What's the website?
Lavenderblossoms.org.
.org.
And he needs some rain.
$61.80. He says, your show is golding. Golding. I'm blowing the joke right there.
Yep.
Your show is golden, just like phi. 1 point, or pi. It's 1.618, whatever. Blah, blah. It says phi. Anyway, I need some rain, please. We
shook the stick.
We shook it earlier.
And we can't shake it again.
We can't. No, it's too dangerous at this point. Sir Kelly Spongberg, we haven't heard from for a while in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, $111.11.
Wishes travel karma for Dame Andrea. She returns home from a Scandinavian island in the Pacific Ocean. What could that be?
Victoria is an island.
Sounds like military to me.
Vancouver Island, Vancouver Island is an island. And it's in the Pacific Ocean, kind of. Sir Milkman.
I don't know if it works this way. Going to Vegas, gambling karma in exchange for the customary 33% cut. Did we have a deal with him that I'm unaware of?
I don't know, but he donated $101.01. Going gambling karma. That's an interesting one. I think we should just drop some gambling karma on him right now as a test.
You've got karma.
All right. It should work.
We'll see. Yeah, may or may not. Michael Reeves, $101. Making this donation on behalf of Liberty Larry on his birthday, who has never donated in years of listening. Douchebag. He'll be technically no longer a douchebag because he's going to donate in his name.
Here we go.
You've been de-douched.
There you go.
Okay, onward. Ian Field from the UK, $100. Daniel J. Armstrong from the Alabama, some base there, some Army, Navy, Air Force base. Dude named Muhammad Ali, 8008.
He says, I'm all in for no border, no nations. Everything becomes halal. Oh, man. I love our
that
dude
means
named
we're not
Muhammad
eating
Ali.
any pork.
Yeah, I love our dude named Muhammad Ali. He's got the right humor, man.
Well, he's got the right humor, but no. I mean, I halal goat is fine. Matt in Lincoln, Nebraska, 6969. He says he'll send me a Nebraska hoodie. But unfortunately, he's already worn it.
Oh,
it's laundered twice. What do I want an old one for?
I think you want crisp in the plastic.
It still has the stink of Mike Riley era on it. I don't think so.
He says that I need no job karma, but would like to ask you to extend karma to my dad and cousin who farm in northeastern Nebraska. Trade war is playing no favorites, and soybeans will break even this year, if not a loss, even with a great yield. And he asked for rain stick to Brazil. Maybe next show.
Sir John Fletcher in Hughes Springs, Texas, 6969. And this donation is credited to Caroline Blaney. Tell her I love her and can't wait till November.
Tell Carolyn I love her.
We'll give you some relationship karma at
Tell
the end.
Carolyn I need her.
Does anyone have an auto-tunes program that we can use?
Tell Carolyn not to cry. My
Donald
love for
Napier, $6.60. James Melcher in Honolulu, Hawaii, $60.09. His lopsided boobs. He was just some note here.
It's his 21st birthday today.
Oh, that's nice. He's going to have a birthday call out. Douglas Engstrom, $56.50. Zephyr donation. $56.50. Is that a Zephyr donation? Was there some reason for that? Timothy Pierce, $55.55. Sir Roger on Ice, $55.55. Best newsletter yet. Sir Josh Mandel in Greenville, South Carolina, $55.10. Alina Marvinova, Alina, $55.10, and she's in Norway. Oh yeah, Andromeda. Chris Engler, $53. James Moore in San Pablo, California, $50.05. Glenn Spangler, $50.05. I will mention that I failed to get the checks for this show, so they will be moved to the next show.
Oh.
The post office closed on me. The following people are $50 donors.
I love how at a certain point in your life, you're not late for something, just the post office closed on me. Those assholes.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't late. They just closed on you. I got it.
If they were open...
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Daniel, these are $50 donors, name and location. Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan. Sir Haymoose in Mooresville, North Carolina. Sir Patrick Maycom in New York City. Michael Ragusa in Tustin, California. Charles Eves in Parts Unknown. Kevin McLean in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And last but not least, Lorraine Converse in West Lynn, Oregon. I want to thank all these folks for helping us here.
For episode 1053.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's probably somebody I should have anonymized.
Well, I've got it. We're okay. Let me see. We had a make good for, let me see who this is for. Sir GQ, Baron of Maryland. We always like to help our peerage out. You two have been consistently outdoing yourselves with each show. Keep it up. The universe needs its best podcast. Please apply. Oh, yes, this was the Dvorak Get Out of My Vag karma, and we couldn't find the clip. Apparently you did say it.
Get out of my vagina. Yeah, it was a list from somebody requesting karma.
I know. They basically did. It was a ruse.
It was a ruse.
You never said it, but then they recorded us talking about it, and now we just played it. It was a great ruse.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. See, do we have anything else? Yes. F cancer for Void Zero's mother-in-law, stage 4 lung cancer. Well, that sucks. That's the pits. So, and jobs karma for people who asked for it. So here it comes.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's a birthday.
Sir John Horner, Baron of the Bay, says happy birthday to his wonderful wife, Sarah Cozy. She is actually celebrating today. James Melchior turns 21 years old today. And Michael Reeves says happy birthday to Liberty Larry. And we say that as well. Happy birthday from your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. Okay, we have one night. So we'll grab my blade for that. If you've got your blade, we can bring this person up. Pafunk, come on up to the podium, my friend. You are about to join the Knights and Dames of the No Agenda Roundtable for your support of the best podcast in the universe, the amount of $1,000 or more. And I'm very happy to pronounceate you, Sir Funk of the Trolls. Hookers and Blow, Red Boys and Chardonnay at the table for you, along with your requests, Early Times and BF4, Cross Ship and Cane Breaks, Boba and Stinky Tofu, Cooper's Ale and Kanga Bangers. We got chilled Polish potato vodka, bourbon and bong rips, trophies and tire smoke. We got kebab and Persian wine, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, geishas and sake, and mutton and mead. A lot for you, but it's all there at noagendanation.com/rings. Head on over there and give Eric the Shill all of your information. I'm sure he'd be very happy to hook you up.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Nice changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
Sir Don of Taintsville, as of today, becomes a baronet. We're happy to welcome him to that status, along with Sir Hey Moose and Sir K's, also baronet. 3 baronet upgrades on our peerage map. You can find that at dvorak.org/peerage.htm or itm.im/peerage. There you go. And thank you, 3 gentlemen, as well, for upping your stance and your standing for the No Agenda podcast. Exactly. Let me see. What else did we have here? I
got a thing, a good one. There was this little good piece of real news gossip.
Real news gossip, okay.
Well, it's kind of gossipy. Play this I'm sure this was not played on the national news. It's a local story. Kind of. It's not really a local story, but it was played locally. Trump Jr.
Yes, I knew this.
Well, tonight, a Fox network talk show host who has been dating Donald Trump Jr. is leaving the network and plans to stump 4 Republican congressional candidates. Kimberly Guilfoyle was once married to Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom back when he was mayor of San Francisco. Lately, she's been co-hosting 5 on Fox News and dating Donald Trump Jr. after he separated from his wife. According to CNN, Guilfoyle is likely to join a nonprofit called America First Policies, which supports the president.
Yeah, I've been...
There goes the legs.
Yeah, no more legs on the TVs.
Yeah, she was all legs. I mean, she was just there for legs, showing off her legs.
Well, I like Kimberly. I like it. I think she's interesting. She's definitely interesting to watch. She good balance with Gutfeld on that show when I see it. But I was looking at Donald Trump Jr. He's got 4 kids. They're all under 8, I think, under 8 years old. Yeah, it's going to be it's a tough relationship.
Well, kind of nightmarish.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as though they haven't got the money to hire 10 nannies.
No, you understand what I'm saying. It's not about the nannies. It's just, there's a lot. He comes with a lot of baggage. Does she have kids? She doesn't have any kids, does she?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Well, I hope it works out for him. I don't think it's a very smart career move.
Well, maybe she fell in love with the guy.
Well, sure, but you don't have to be
a charming character.
You don't have to. You have
no idea.
You have to leave your gig.
Yeah, I know it doesn't. I don't. Yeah, I'm as baffled as you are, but it's just like, who knows? Yeah. There may be more to this story. We're not ever given any kind of real information, so who knows?
I do have the kind of a.
She could be MK Ultra.
Could be. I have a good little backstory on the plastic straw ban, which kind of feeds into a clip you played on the last show.
Back in 2015, a video went viral. It was shot by a marine biologist from Texas A&M University. It showed researchers trying to remove a plastic straw stuck up a sea turtle's nose.
I don't want to pull it if it's like attached to a brainstem.
Yeah, that's about exactly what I think. So it's a freaking straw up her freaking nostril.
That's plastic.
Freaking.
Is that Australian millennials I hear there?
That's what it sounds like.
Freaking straw up and freaking nostril.
I don't want to pull it if it's like attached to a brainstem.
Yeah, that's about exactly what I think. So it's a freaking straw up her freaking nostril.
That's plastic.
How could that have possibly got lodged so firmly in the nostril?
That video helped raise awareness about all the plastics harming marine life. And plastic straws became a prime target for elimination because, well, many of us don't really need them. So companies have started pledging to take them away, and some U.S. cities have already banned them, like Malibu and Miami Beach. But for some people with disabilities, straws are necessary. Sean Bickley is a disability rights advocate in Seattle. He says the invention of plastic straws in the mid-20th century dramatically improved the quality of life for some people, like those with poor control of muscles used to swallow. In some cases, Bickley says,
they aspirated liquid into the lungs, developed pneumonia, and died.
There are reusable straws options out there, but Bickley and others say they don't work for everyone.
Metal straws are dangerous to people who bite down. They conduct heat and create burns.
Paper straws also have problems.
People who don't have muscular control will bite through paper straws, and that presents a choking hazard. Even biodegradable plastic isn't as flexible as real plastic.
Bickley and other disability rights activists say that bans on plastic straws should offer exemptions for people with medical conditions, so restaurants would have plastic straws on hand for those who need them. In fact, Seattle wrote this kind of waiver into its ban on plastic straws, which went into effect this month. But Bickley says some of the city's restaurants don't seem to be aware of the exemption.
I called a bunch of restaurants who were dropped in. I asked them if they had plastic straws for allergies or accommodation.
He says they all told him no.
I really think we have
How is this different than my clip from the last show?
We had the turtle backup.
Okay.
And I'm, as I said, it's just like your clip. I just feel that we need to put a halt to this idiocy. What the hell are we thinking? This is real. This now it's just gone too far. This one turtle had a straw up his nose, and everyone's lost their shit over it. We need to ban turtles from putting straws in their nose. That would make more sense. This is a stupid movement. It's
gotten worse.
We're using more plastic. People who actually straws are handy.
It's gotten worse. I don't really have a problem with going to paper, but because I used to use paper when I was a kid. Now, but what's gotten worse is now, especially around here, they've decided they're going to take a hard look at toothbrushes.
Toothbrushes, yeah,
they're plastic.
Oh, we need now. Remember I tried to create a new meme with the swizzle stick? And you said that the train has left the station? Now we can do the turtle with... Maybe we shouldn't use a turtle.
Turtle with a toothbrush up its butt.
We got to have... No, it's got to be really nasty. I like maybe a fish with a toothbrush out of its eye.
Ugh,
or sticking...
I don't want to gross people out. It's bad enough with the turtle.
Okay. How about sticking out of his gill?
God.
Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can get plastic toothbrushes banned. Come on, we got great artists. Do something.
Okay, artists, you're on your own. Go for it.
Plastic toothbrushes. Evil. We need to call them out. We need to call out these companies.
But by the way, what replaces a plastic toothbrush? That's the problem. I know what replaces the straw.
The no agenda electric toothbrush?
That's made of plastic.
Yeah. I'm so tired of this. It's just, well, I guess it kind of plays into this then. I'm sure you heard this report.
A minor
League Baseball team is playing on the stereotypes of millennials.
Don't drop the ball.
In an attempt to draw more young people to a game this weekend.
Hi, how many tickets are you looking for?
Offering what the Montgomery Biscuits identify as millennials' favorite things, ranging from avocados to selfie stations, a section for napping, and don't forget the participation ribbons.
80% of the people in our front office are millennials, myself included, and we're just having some fun with some of the cliches that people point out about millennials.
But the very crowd it's seeking, it's upsetting, igniting an eruption of backlash on social media.
More than targeting millennials, it's sort of targeting older generations who like to make fun of millennials and like to say that millennials don't like working and don't really like caring for themselves.
Though for every angry comment, another appears to fire back in defense. One person tweeting, "Bravo, biscuits. You know millennials won't dig in unless it's gluten-free." The team itself is made up of millennials, none of whom are even remotely offended by the theme night.
I don't think they meant anything sour by it or to sort of to cast a negative light on the next generation at all. I think they're trying to make light of it. If it's insensitive, then maybe they should just have thicker skin.
Earlier this year, the Lexington Legends faced similar criticism for their millennial night before reporting.
Wait, before I play the rest of the clip. First of all, I love that the millennial reports on the millennial story, and she actually says gluten. Gluten. She can't. What is
gluten.
This? What did T do to everybody? The T is an important letter.
Why is everyone pissed off at the T?
Putin, gluten. Putin, gluten.
Layer.
So, to me, this was very telling, this clip, not so much as just funny, because I think it's a very funny idea. I like the humor of it. That's American humor. We're very good at it. What I saw with this report is that it and you'll hear in a moment, it not only did it not affect people who went, it actually brought more people to the event. But that the outrage, sorry?
I'm saying that was the idea.
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll hear exactly that because, of course, it was a PR stunt. I mean, it's obviously a PR stunt. But what I noticed is that the outrage was all on Twitter. You know, they were just showing all the tweets and people just angry, yelling at each other. But then in real life, it really wasn't that big a deal. And of course, these bombs, these little nuggets are launched by PR companies into the machine, and then it bubbles up very quickly. And I think the job of most journos these days is just trolling on Twitter, because all I really ever see is blue check marks saying, "Hey, can I use that picture? Hey, can you contact me? Hey, anybody? Hey, do you know about this? Ooh, please DM me so we can talk about this." Ooh, you know what I mean? It's like that they seem to just be looking for stories on Twitter.
Well, I find it just as of a few years back when I started bitching about the fact, and I think we had some segments on it, where they won't even get quotes. They just quote people's Twitter accounts.
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. They just take
and he
pictures.
said on Twitter, and then Trump has made it worse by institutionalizing it.
Yes. It's become the reporting is just reading the tweets. You're right. Which is probably why we've backed off from it.
That.
Right. So the outrage, and you're seeing this happen in everything, and the mainstream is, and you can see the flow. It's very direct. Someone starts a shitstorm, it's online. You have to do it on Twitter. That's the place. Facebag doesn't work for this. You got to do it on Twitter. It hits trending. The journos go look at it, and then they make that their news report because it's basically free content. You've got everything you want. It's written for you. You just read out the tweets. The outrage is there. You maybe just do a stand up, drop your T's, and you're good to go. You got a beautiful report, which is funny.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. But all this outrage lives online, and I think people could really improve their health by just tuning out a little bit,
dropping out,
tuning in, tune out,
taking acid.
Yeah, tune out a little bit.
Well, I have a clip that's got a.
Let me just play the last bit of this. You can hear.
I thought you were done.
Earlier this year, the Lexington Legends faced similar criticism for their millennial night before reporting increased attendance at the game.
From a PR professional's perspective, they're kind of accomplishing what all of us want to accomplish, and that is people talking about your organization, not only here locally, but, I mean, it's got a lot of reach outside of our own community, outside of our state as well.
Set, go!
There you go. That's what you want. You want people talking about you. It proof that the mainstream is nothing but advertising for everything. Even the stories are advertising.
Well, here's a good one coming up. This is just a quick one clip. We all are familiar with our Silicon Valley culture and fine operations like Kleiner Perkins.
Yes. Hashtag #MeToo, red round way.
If you don't think there's going to be some humor coming down the road, play the Ellen Powell clip.
Tonight, the story of a Bay Area tech executive who some see as a pioneer of the Me Too movement is coming to the small screen. Netflix and Shonda Rhimes have bought the rights to Ellen Powell's memoir. It tells the story of her failed gender discrimination suit against venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins back in 2012. The lawsuit put a spotlight on sexual misconduct in Silicon Valley.
Oh, God.
Don't you think this is going to be a laugh riot?
I would have expected that to be one of the first Obama productions, honestly. That would have been perfect.
Now, did you hear that clip? I keep hearing her saying Spencer Capital instead of venture capital.
Oh, I'd have to listen to it again.
The Facebook CEO.
Oops. That's my clip. Hold on. Ellen Powell. Yeah, let me try it again.
Tonight, the story of a Bay Area tech executive who some see as a pioneer of the Me Too movement is coming to the small screen. Netflix and Shonda Rhimes have bought the rights to Ellen Powell's memoir. It tells the story of her failed gender discrimination suit against venture capital firm Kleiner.
It sounds more like Fencher. No.
No, she's not pronouncing it correctly.
She will be fired.
Another local story, which is kind of funny, is this Hitman website. Have you heard this story?
No.
Called his website rentahitman.com, but this Bay Area man never thought his clever marketing idea would attract people trying to hire contract killers. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bassita. KPIX5's Katie Nielsen with the wild story of how an IT guy became an unlikely crime fighter. Katie?
Ken, Bob Innes says his website has broken up almost 100 murder-for-hire plots. And even though he doesn't make any money off of it, it's now his personal mission to help save lives.
Why did he put it up in the first place?
It's a dude named Ben, and he was a hitman. He's a consultant.
Oh, gosh.
He just was naive. But the idiot said, go to this site, and now he's actually, play part 2, and you'll hear that he's actually changed, he's rejiggered the site, so it's actually about hiring a hitman.
He says, kill my mom and my dad, my sister and my brother.
Bob Innes is reading an email he got yesterday morning from a 14-year-old boy in Alaska. An email submitted through his website, rentahitman.com.
So this is the website.
But it's not what you think.
We decided we wanted to start a company doing risk analysis, intrusion detection, white hat hacking.
That's where the name Rent a Hitman came from back in 2005, and the website created right here at his desk in the kitchen of his Novato home.
That's where it happens.
Instead of getting emails for IT services, people were literally asking for a hitman.
The emails threw me for a loop. It was absolutely not expected.
Bob decided to run with it.
Shortly after receiving those emails, that I had decided to basically transform the web page.
Now it's almost a parody site, complete with an intake form.
Target's name, target's email, address where services are requested.
Bob gets requests for hitman services at least a couple of times each week.
I need her taken care of because she won't leave.
And when this report goes on forever, but it's like, how dumb is the public?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty dumb.
Pretty dumb.
And I want you to look out for this story in your area, and I'm surprised you didn't have anything on it. Berkeley High graduate pleads guilty to trying to help terrorists, but his defense is it was a sting. And lo and behold, this 23-year-old punk kid, basically, got wrapped up in what we used to call the 6-week cycle. FBI, saw him trolling, and what he was doing is he was creating fake social media accounts for people he believed were Islamic State supporters, and then you know how the FBI is. They get in touch with the guy and they kind of jack him all up. He's like, oh yeah, let's do something cool. And then the prosecutors, he didn't want to do anything. He's like, I don't want to do anything right. And they said, no, come on, we're going to give you a credit card. We'll go buy the chemicals to blow something up. And so here's the statement from his lawyer. This is really a case about what the appropriate sentence should be. Here's a young guy who was immature, said some stupid things online. The FBI sent out their best people to try to get a sting operation going. So it'd be nice if someone could actually get that out in the open, because it's really, they're doing good. I mean, this is not it's law enforcement, but this is not how you go about dealing with this situation. You get a hold of this kid, you shake him up, and you say, listen, you moron, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
They're using it to rack up their numbers. Another terrorist caught.
That's right. Keep the budget going, boys. Everything's good.
So we have another.
Yes.
No, I don't have that story, and I'm sorry I don't. I do have this one, though, about the vaxxers. There's you want to hear a little propaganda, like propaganda by our local news?
Sure.
Here's our vaxxer story.
This morning, we're exploring a report from medical professionals who are calling attention to what they say is a dangerous increase in the number of parents who are using medical waivers to avoid vaccinating their children. Immunization rates have increased from 93 to now 95% since California adopted new child vaccination laws a couple of years ago. Those laws say that all children must be immunized before attending school. However, a new study finds the number of kindergartners in California with a vaccine exemption from a doctor has quadrupled since that law took effect.
All right, our question of the day is this. Do you think children should be required to be vaccinated to attend public school? Right now, 89% of you say yes, 11% say no. A lot of comments out there on social media. Sal, what do you have?
I have from Sequin, it says unvaccinated kids place other kids and adults at risk, not just at school, but in any public area. Others with chronic medical conditions are also unnecessarily placed at risk.
Along those lines, Elijah tweeted me this, saying, you live in the Bay Area where medical science and technology thrives. Why is this even a question? Furthermore, those they don't think children should be vaccinated need to take an intro science course as to why vaccinations are important.
And Chris also chimed in saying, of course, and it's not just our kids either, it's all the kids. It's just common sense to me. Thank you for all your responses. You can reach us on Twitter about anything. Just make sure to use that hashtag.
Yeah, I'm starting to think illegal immigration is the way to go, because our kids are going to die here. I mean, they got their amygdalas are messed up. The hippocampus is all screwed up from GPS usage. They're jacked with all kinds of vaccines. This is not good.
Jacked up with vaccines.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
I still don't. I've never understood. If your kid is vaccinated, what are you worried about?
The funny thing is about this is that
you can't get it if you're vaccinated, right?
The funny thing is the story's premise was that vaccination rates has increased from 93% to 95%.
Yeah.
What is the point of this story?
Probably Gardasil. Did they throw in an HPV anywhere?
No, they never did.
Mm.
But it's, you don't have to necessarily.
I got one last clip. There's not a lot of shown on the M5M about the Free Tommy movement, which has gotten pretty big in the UK. There's a lot of people protesting, want this guy out of jail, or at least in a safer jail than where he is right now. Tommy Robinson is what we're talking about. And the BBC is seen as the enemy of the people in the UK's.
Before you play this story, this is you want to give a little background on this because I don't think everybody knows about it. And I also want to say this is a very strange story. This guy was essentially dragged off the streets, arrested without a trial, and thrown in jail where they threw the key away.
No, he had a trial. He had a trial. Very quick one.
Okay, it was a trial. You're guilty.
Yes. He was, but it's all on technicalities. This guy's a troublemaker because he's exposing the grooming and raping that's been going on in the north of England for decades, really, and it's seen as anti-Muslim. And the biggest perpetrators of the crimes are Pakistani, so they're Muslim, but it's really just about what's happening. And for some reason, either through embarrassment or because of embarrassment, or maybe they're complicit, the elites and the lawmakers just don't want anyone to hear about it. BBC has effectively just stifled the stories. Robinson, whose history I looked into, which takes a lot of watching YouTube interviews, started the ADL, which is seen as Nazis, Hitler, KKK, just name it, name whatever you want, British KKK. And his story is, hey, man, there's stuff going on here and nobody cares. And there's plenty of victims who have spoken. There's just tons of victims. There's
a
actual
very
victims.
screwball story. And this, to me, the way they grabbed him and tried him.
I'm sorry, the EDF, not the ADL. The EDF, English Defense.
Yeah, not the ADL.
EDL, that's what it is. EDL.
It looks a lot more like an extraction than it does anything else to me.
Interesting. Huh. Well, he's been thrown in jail before, and that was no picnic, and it was not an extraction.
Yeah, well, we don't know that we don't even know he's in jail because they won't let anyone see him, including his lawyers.
Well, Sir Brian of London, I think, has spoken to him on the phone. He's pretty close to him. And I'm pretty sure he's really in jail.
Okay, well,
the main problem, the reason he's in jail is because as a reporter for, I think, the Rebels in the Canadian outfit, he was reporting from in front of the courthouse. I'll just call it that. Where
it was like a foot behind a line you're not supposed to be reporting from.
You're not supposed to show. So in certain cases, you can't show accused. The bottom line is there's a whole bunch of guys who had even been convicted before, and he gets thrown in jail for basically highlighting what the BBC won't do. That's the main problem. The BBC doesn't report on it properly, and man, people are pissed off about it. And I see this free Tommy everywhere, not just the UK. I see it in the Netherlands. I see it in Germany. I see it in the US. So a lot of people are pissed about it. And this is just a very short clip, actually, just to show you the damage that is being done to institutions like the BBC. As a reporter from Newsnight, who finds a Dutch guy, and they both realize they speak Dutch, but they do this very short interview in English.
Can I ask you why you've come here from Holland?
Ik praat Nederlands, toch?
Oh, ja, maar kunnen we het in Engels doen?
Yeah, we can do it in English, yeah.
That's better for, I mean, I speak Dutch, but I don't think anyone watches
what channel?
We're from Newsnight on the BBC.
BBC?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Really?
Fuck off, BBC, mate.
The BBC?
Hey, fuck off, mate. Sorry.
And the BBC guy, he can't, what? What? You just told the BBC to F off? What? I love that.
Yeah, that's the other thing we have to remember. There was an edict by the government that these stories were D-lined? Denoticed, which means that nobody can report on them.
Yep.
So why is that? This whole
no,
thing
they can report. No,
suspect.
the denotice has been withdrawn since then, so they can report on it. Yeah, they can report on it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's
just it doesn't matter. You know, the problem is there's a problem. There's a real problem in the UK, and the authorities not dealing with it. And this is tinderbox time. People are getting very agitated. They got agita over it all, I'm telling you.
Well, maybe all hell will break loose.
Oh, I'm pretty convinced hell's going to break loose somewhere. If it's not in Sweden, you know, maybe it'll be in the UK. It could be anywhere. Could be anywhere, but hell is, and certainly in Europe, in the EU, hell is going to break loose. They're not. The Daily Mail is skewering Jean-Claude Juncker the drunker, by the way.
Well,
it's been fantastic because the Brits, they don't care. They just, like, hey, we're Brexiting. We think.
We think.
Yeah. An explosive new account of Brussels insider says he heard the EU politician Jean-Claude Juncker is a little too fond of the bottle. And Mr. Juncker has left his ambitious and unelected chief civil servant, this is the problem guy, Martin Selmayr, dubbed the monster, to run the commission. So there's disarray. Because this his assistant, basically his intern, is now running the European Commission, while Juncker is just a blathering drunk. And
no, this EU is in trouble.
Why is everybody protecting him? This is what I don't understand. Why?
Because they want to protect the experiment.
Yeah.
It's not him they're protecting.
Right.
Because first of all, nobody there is elected. This is what, Farage kept bitching about.
Yeah.
And it's just a bunch of self-appoint. There's guys that appoint each other for different kinds of things, and they're kind of running things. If anything's a dictatorship, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to, it's a new German empire, and we're trying to. There's going to be peace in Europe once the Germans take over everything. Once
the Germans take over, yes, they probably will. I got one more clip. It's just kind of a shorty. It's continuing to follow the fallout around FaceBag. Mark Zuckerberg did an interview with new interview with Recode, which I've not seen or heard yet. I don't know if it's video, it may just be audio. And I think I can deconstruct what his issue is here in the outrage over Holocaust denialism on Facebook.
The Facebook CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, is facing backlash tonight after making comments that some say support Holocaust deniers. So his comments came during a podcast on the tech site Recode.
There's a set of people who deny that the Holocaust happened.
Yes,
right? I find that deeply offensive.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I don't believe that our platform should take that down, because I think that there are things that different people get wrong. I don't think that they're intentionally getting it wrong.
Well, the social media site founder says the material should stay on Facebook as long as the posts don't call for harm or violence. The interview immediately caused an uproar.
We are troubled by a statement that doesn't identify Holocaust denial as blatant and troubling anti-Semitism.
The CEO of the Illinois Holocaust Museum calls the comments wrong and irresponsible. Zuckerberg has since released a statement saying, quote, "I personally find Holocaust denial deeply offensive, and I absolutely didn't intend to defend the intent of people who deny that."
So Zuckerberg is not just touching, he's pretty much licking the third rail right now. And this is a very, very precarious topic. So here we have a Jew who is saying, you know what, I just have to allow people to be wrong on my platform and deny the Holocaust. And
there are ways. This guy is naive.
Well, I don't think so. But go ahead.
I think he is, but I think that and I'm using I think, which is something I really don't.
Yeah, I don't like. I think that's not good.
But it appears as if, I think, again, he's naive.
Would you like me to pay attention to this now for you?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
But
you sound like a bad tech show when you do that.
He's naive.
Yes.
He's totally naive, and he couldn't figure a way around. You could get out of these kinds of questions.
First of all,
you can circumvent that's not the question you should be asking me. You should ask him, and you could. There's a million ways we discuss them on the show.
He's inexperienced,
but all these tricks.
Let me tell you what I think is going on, and then you tell me how he should have answered. I think what he sees going on. Damn it! My analysis of the situation is that Zuckerberg, and this harkens back to the previous clip I played about the outrage being online. It is my belief that Zuckerberg knows the incredible activity he's getting is from a minority group, and that would be mainly left-leaning, left-thinking people. And that is less than half of what he has on his platform. And if he starts to kick people off with alternative thoughts about the Holocaust, he knows exactly where that's coming from. That is definitely from the extreme right, but also from the extreme left. He is afraid for his business. He knows that what will happen next, and we're getting on that cusp very quickly. Eventually, someone's going to say, you know what? Here is a Facebook which is only for people who think this way. Come on over here. And even if it wasn't half, even if it's only 30%, he doesn't need that aggro. So that's why I think he's couching it, because he knows they will leave. He sees the numbers. He's got insight to this. There's no other reason. He's a Jew. Just say, yeah, screw it. We can't have that. That's fake news. That fake news has been around for 40 years. No, 60 years. He could have said that. 80 years. Jesus. been a long time since I was
he could have said a million different things to get out of that question.
Well, what do you think about my thesis, though?
Oh, your thesis is the following. He looks at the numbers. He sees the potential for disaster, even though by my count in insider trading, he's already taken out, I think, $300 to $400
but it's not about him. Yeah,
dollars.
It's not about him personally.
But this is his baby. You think that he's worried about that, and he's fumbling around trying to save the platform from interlopers.
Yeah.
It's as good a theory as any.
I can't see any other reason.
What you're trying to do is explain his stupidity.
Yes.
Not being able to handle the question.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Why is he so stupid? Because he can't be stupid. He's got to be smart. But this is not, I agree with you, it's still not the way to handle it. Very odd.
It's like Gates was the same way. They're both that way. They have issues.
All right.
I have a couple. I just have the Bernie and AOC. For some reason, Bernie Sanders goes to Kansas with this woman.
With AOC?
She hasn't been elected yet, and she's already traipsing around.
He's keeping her close. Okay.
Well, I think she is his protege at this point.
Bernie likes the dark young ones.
Well, let's play these two clips and we'll be done.
Sanders and New York Democratic candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they were both in Kansas Friday, stumping for congressional candidate Jim Thompson. I want to play a bite for you from that.
I am so proud of everyone who is here in this room today because you are carrying the candle of hope for this country.
Wait, what did he say?
You are too.
Oh, that's nice.
Candidate Jim Thompson. I want to play a bite for you from that.
I am so proud of everyone who is here in this room today because you are carrying the candle of hope for this country. You are too.
Oh, sweet. We love you, AOC.
Because back then, the people of Kansas were the tipping point for the future of this nation, and today they are again.
And we say to Trump, instead of showing us your strength by tearing children from their families, where was your strength in standing up to Putin and Russia for undermining American democracy?
Putin! Molly, how concerned are establishment Democrats about their position and the way they're positioned right now with the party, and then this rise of sort of these progressive Democrats that people weren't really watching in the lead up?
Well, there's those quotes were so rich with reaction on all parts and how they're playing on Capitol Hill. In particular, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's not making a lot of friends in the Democratic Party on Capitol Hill. Democratic lawmakers who met with her and who are not very happy that, obviously that she defeated one of their own, essentially, Joe Crowley. But in addition to which, she's actively backing and endorsing more liberal candidates in Democratic primaries against sitting members of Congress, and that's sort of a no-no. And, when we were talking to several Democratic lawmakers, they said, well, when she gets to Capitol Hill, she'll realize that things are a little bit different if you don't have friends.
I liked her and Bernie teaming up. I think that's very smart for both of them.
Well, when they go on with this analysis, which is one of the overnight shows, they make it clear that Bernie had a bad time of it, and probably I started thinking about this. Probably some of the reasons that the DNC, which was really never discussed, kind of submarine Bernie's campaign is because the Democrats always hated Bernie. They just hate the guy.
Yeah,
he's not a team player. He runs as an independent. There's no reason to give him any support.
His wardrobe sucks.
There's a lot of things. Never combs his hair. It seems as though maybe the thing blown out of proportion. The Bernie supporters were, the Democrats were glad to have a bunch of these kids get all worked up and maybe get into the campaign, but they didn't like Bernie. personally at all, but let's play part 2 and then we can finish.
Senator Sanders, I want to ask you, because I know you've been active recently on this issue and concern you have about Russian election meddling. Vladimir Putin was invited to the White House this fall. The Secretary of State says the invitation has not yet been confirmed. Do you think it should be withdrawn?
Look, the truth is it's hard to comment on anything that Trump says because he could change his mind tomorrow. But I will tell you that I was absolutely outraged by his behavior in Helsinki, where he really sold the American people out. And it makes me think that either Trump doesn't understand what Russia has done not only to our elections, but to cyber attacks against all parts of our infrastructure. Either he doesn't understand it,
really,
or perhaps he is being blackmailed by Russia because they may have compromising information about him.
Really?
Or perhaps also you have a president who really does have strong authoritarian tendencies, and maybe he admires the kind of government that Putin is running in Russia.
That's on today's Face the Nation. That'll be playing as we speak. It's checking off the old Trump boxes. And this is such a contrast to what we heard at the beginning of the show when I brought out the real lefties who are not singing this song at all. This is Bernie just playing to the audience.
So he's lost all his original thoughts, sadly, because he had some good thoughts. He had some thoughts that people turned on to.
There's nothing original in anything he said, and now he's doing stumping with the AOC was another one.
So
he's pathetic.
He's just latching a wagon on. That is very pathetic. And she can't be his vice presidential candidate or anything like that. That's impossible. Age-wise.
I'm not, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. You had to be 35, don't you?
Or more. I forgot what the age is.
I think it's 35.
It's not her age. I know she misses it.
No, that's for sure. Look, all I know is my tip for the M5M is you better get on Bill. You get the HAG team out and get Bill out of the way so you can do 6 months of retrospective, because the Republicans are looking at George H. Walker Bush and saying, hey, we could have 6 weeks of retrospection.
Oh, they're both trying to hold out the one who's going to die last.
That's it. Who will die last? There you go. Mark my words. Someone's got to go before November.
This is only discussed on the No Agenda show.
And
no one else would have the guts to bring this up.
But we're happy to do it so you're prepared for the onslaught. And coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, here in the capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA region number 6 on the governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, Dvorak.org/NA. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday with another edition of the No Agenda Show. Until then, adios, mofos. Can I still get a taxi?
Well, yeah, but we're returning on Thursday, not Sunday.
Oh, what is it today? Sunday?
So Thursday. I'm quitting this getting you a cab job.
I'm confused.
Donate to a No Agenda. They give us shows week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
It's got no note.
Look at the squirrel mails.
Let me just take a look. I'm not sure. Oh, wait. Stop. I put too many M's. Again, nothing. No. Still nothing.
You live here? Yes. Well, maybe you know what a zombie is. When a person dies and is buried, it seems a certain voodoo priest who have the power to bring him back to life. Horrible. It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes. Following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats? Walking around blindly with dead eyes. Like Democrats? That's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. Like Democrats?
Zero collusion, and it has had a negative impact upon the relationship. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what's going on.
This is utter nonsense. But isn't that natural? Isn't it natural to be sympathetic towards a person who is willing to restore the relationship with our country, who wants to work with us?
I was saying to myself the other day, I said, Russia really helped us. I'm not pro-Russia, pro-anybody. I just want to have this country be safe. I don't want nuclear weapons.
I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. Thank you.
Let's go. Make your way out. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. You name it. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, 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 you name it, you name it, you name it, you name it. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, 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 you name it, you name it, you name it, you name it.
Racist. The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.